PettyPrattle.com presents the Dirty Talk Podcast, your podcast home for all things soap. Welcome to Laundry Day for General Hospital, a recap of General Hospital for the month of February 2024. We're your hosts, Angela and Toni. So it has been an eventful February for GH.
It really is. I mean, sweeps month, they always bring it anyway, but they brought it this month, definitely.
And it's really interesting because they were going through a lot behind the scenes with a
Mhm,
new writing regime taking over. And a
mhm.
lot of the writing had to be transitional. It was what Chris and Dan originally created, but with a twist from Elizabeth Corte while she was
Mhm.
waiting for Patrick to join her as co-head writer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, sorry,
Um,
Patrick Mulcahy, want to train.
yes, as her new co-head writer, and I love the I love the changes that I've seen so far, and we'll explore those more in future podcasts. But we had a pretty good February sweeps, I think.
I feel as the month went on, things seemed to move in a better direction. Scenes got longer. There weren't so many chaotic shifts from one story to the other. I feel like if February, as it got to the end, is anything to go by, we are in for a fantastic renaissance for General Hospital.
I agree completely. That is something we are absolutely on the same page about, and I think most General Hospital fans would agree with that as well. And from what I've seen, the excitement's pretty high for what everybody hopes to have coming with the new writers who, honestly are new head writers, but Elizabeth Corte's been there nonstop since 1995. She is the writer longest termed writer they have, and she's served every position: script writer, breakdown writer. She was briefly head writer with Michelle Valjean back in the early 2000s. She's assistant head writer now before her promotion. She's the historian. I mean, every actor talks
Done
about how.
editor.
Mhm, exactly. So she's not new, she's just new to the head writer position, at least in the past 20 some odd years. And of course, Patrick was there,
Mm-hmm.
from I think 95 to 99, and then
Mm-hmm.
came back briefly in, or, like 05, 06, somewhere around, somewhere in the mid
Mm-hmm.
early 2000s, but he wasn't there long. And was always a script writer, but he did great things on Bold and the Beautiful. He was the script writer for the very famous Clink Boom episode of General Hospital, where Lily blew up as.
Easily one of the most famous General
Yes.
Hospital scenes in
Hmm.
terms of its cinematography alone.
Yes. And just
And
Lily blowing up to Jackson Brenda toasting their marriage. It was just beautiful.
the way that he set that up, like they would have had to have been terrible at their jobs not to be able to create like the proper, pacing and everything for it, because
Hmm.
the way that he just like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
something that you just have to like that has to be on the page really for people to understand, like for people to be able to recreate. And the
Yes.
image that he had in his mind that he was able to create in real life is just, it's spectacular. And
It really is.
I mean, I'm sure that there are film schools who study that particular scene because it is that iconic in
Mhm.
like in terms of like cinematography, positioning, you know, like storytelling, everything.
Absolutely. It
And
was.
without dialogue is crazy
Oh,
to me.
yeah, it was just a shining, just amazing. And those are the kinds of things we have to look forward to. Patrick and Elizabeth Corte are both on the same page as far as wanting the show to focus on family, romance, connections. And they're both massive angst horse. They love a good slow burn, but it's not going to be so
Oh,
slow that you forget what you were waiting for.
yeah.
um, Lots of moments and connections, and they like the action and adventure to further those other things.
Yeah.
You know, the mob will still be there, but
Yeah.
it will be the story.
I get the
it'll
feeling
advance other stories.
I get the feeling this is going to be kind of, like I said, I mentioned before, a renaissance for General Hospital, but I definitely
Mhm,
feel like based on what their strengths are, we're going to see some of the big families rebuilt.
mhm,
Um, we will probably see a little bit more focus on the hospital, which would be nice.
mhm.
And I feel like that's a balance that's needed, like between the
Yes,
mob and the hospital. It's called General Hospital, but it's been General Mobsters for a
right.
while. And I
Right.
feel like that balance, I feel like a lot of people feel like that balance has been a bit off. And
Mhm.
I get the energy just from how they've written in the past that they're going to be able to bring that balance back, you
I
know.
agree.
So I'm looking forward to that definitely.
I also think that we'll see a return to something that we haven't seen on General Hospital for a while, but I'm expecting a pretty decent teen storyline for the summer. I'm guessing with how they're, already using those younger set more and bringing them in. And I think there's a good chance we see a good teen scene for the summer, which soaps always used to do
Mm-hmm.
to bring in, those new viewers, those teenagers that were out of school and stuff. So I'm hoping to see that as well. And I think we will.
I
And
do too.
I think they could rebuild the Cassadines because Patrick Mulcahy was the one who was behind the resurgence of them in the, mid late 90s.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Mhm. And Nancy Lee
Ooh.
Ron is certainly excited to see him back, which I think means nothing but good things for that family, which I think are needed on canvas.
Yeah, I feel like there are certain families that are important to General Hospital at this point. You
Hmm.
know, some have fall like it's one of those things where they come and go in eras. Yes, there
Hmm.
are times when some fall away and others replace them, and so on and so forth. But
Hmm.
I do feel like there are certain families that have been integral to GH for a long enough time that they are important and need to be maintained and
Yep,
protected. So some of those families to me
absolutely.
would be the Cassadines, the Quartermains, the Spencers, um, the Weber Joneses. I think are doing an okay job of rebuilding.
Hmm.
Um, and I like that we now have the Taggart Ashtons. That's what I call them, the Taggart Ashtons, because that's an important thing that we haven't had since the Wards is
Hmm.
like a multicultural family. And I
Absolutely.
really love that. I would love for the Wards to possibly somehow find a connection to um the Taggart Ashtons because Taggart does have a lot of history on the show, but not nearly
Absolutely.
as wide reaching as others. And, I don't want them to end up being segregated into the corner and
Yeah.
forgotten and lost. So I feel like
Yeah.
bringing in maybe a ward to connect or a ward connection, like
Hmm.
maybe somehow um we find out that Portia's grandmother was a cousin to Mary
Hmm.
May. Somehow just reconnect that into the
Hmm.
GH history and then or even bring back a ward.
Yeah.
They could bring back Keisha if
Hmm.
as a recast if need be, just to like reinvigorate um that connect or resecure that connection to the cast.
Yeah.
That would be important to me. I would value that. But yeah, everything that I have ever seen from either of these people has always been rooted in history,
Hmm.
family, romance, and angst. And those are
Absolutely.
the ranks. And the thing is, where he leans more family angst, she leans more romantic angst. And I feel like that's a perfect balance for the two.
Oh, yeah. I think they're a dream team
I
as
really
far
do
as
agree.
GH writing. I really, really do. And the cast seems really excited. Like across the spectrum, the cast seems pretty excited about it.
It feels like the cast is revitalized on set,
Mm-hmm.
by the idea of this change. So
Absolutely.
I just have nothing but excitement. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen what he can do on Bold and the Beautiful with, Maya and her family, the
Mm-hmm.
Avants. So it'll be interesting to see all of the different flavors that he's going to be able to bring,
Absolutely.
and how that marries with Elizabeth's vision to like really give us a
Hmm.
renaissance of General Hospital. So
Yep,
super excited.
absolutely.
Just a quick
Very excited.
rundown of what we're excited about for March before we get into February.
All right. Let's dive in. Let's start with the thing that so few people cared about, and we got a resolution to it, and it's just done, never to be brought up again.
Finn's lawsuit.
Finn's lawsuit. So we got the resolution to it.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy saved the day, but in a lovely way, so
Yes.
she took care of make sure the family was taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really good. I liked that they let Elizabeth, kind of be Finn's hero as well by finding the, proof that the guy who had passed away had seen another doctor and already knew he had cancer when he went, that was a nice switch up
Mm-hmm.
that, she got to be his hero. And most importantly, the storyline is done.
I really feel like it was mishandled and it could have been exciting and interesting
Hmm.
and engaging. And they chose to do everything they could to disconnect us from caring about it.
It's
I don't understand why they didn't create a character or pick a character that needed to be trimmed
right.
from the cast and
It's
make it
not like
about
there aren't
them so
enough
that
of
we
them.
could actually right. I like and make it an actual story that we could care about. But
Mhm.
instead they randomly had some like one-off character die and try
That
to
nobody had ever
trump up a
seen.
story nobody had ever seen, never got a chance to connect with or care about, never
Hmm.
really got a chance to engage with in any sort of way with the
Hmm.
actual actors. And
Yeah,
then they just tried to build some kind of huge non-story story around it, and it became exactly what it was, a non-story. And it was just a time filler, which is
yeah,
sad because I feel like the actors could have done so much with it if
right.
given the proper, you know, fleshing out.
And with the size of this cast and the amount of stories they have, they don't need time fillers. They really don't.
Exactly.
But this was the problem with Chris and Dan. They were
Mm-hmm.
allergic to drama,
Oh God.
and they gave big moments ish, but they didn't build it. They missed the beats that were needed in
Yes.
so much.
So when when Tracy came in and rescued us from this storyline, I fell a little bit in love with her more than I already was, because it was so
I did too. Hmm.
needed for it to be over, and the fact that it went out with a whimper was kind of like it was incredibly anticlimactic, and
Yep.
the only thing that it did was reinforce how badly they did the insider trading story
Right.
and the merger story, because like I don't know, they just threw so much at the wall with those stories and then
Right.
kept having random flash, fallout from it that never fully connected or made sense anywhere. And
Right.
I'm just
And they never
hoping,
explained it. They
yeah, I'm
just
hoping that this is the complete and total death of that story, and that, with the new writing team, they like undo everything. Like somehow we find all of Carly's money, her other two hotels, you know, all of Jason's
right.
money that's been in
What
hiding.
happened to her other hotels? For the
Like
love of
the
God.
woman had the Metroport, she had two boutique hotels, she had buku money plus the offshore accounts that Jason set up for her, and the ones
Yeah.
that she set up for Michael that Michael was willing to tap into for her. Like her kids are like billionaire heirs and
Right.
heiresses.
Yeah.
Her kids got money shmoney.
Hmm.
And you want me to
Exactly.
this woman is somehow down to her last $5 million? Like the fact that she had to go outside for funding in the first place in order to
It's
invest
ridiculous.
was
Right.
the most insane shit ever. Like everything
Right.
about that story made absolutely no sense. And it
None.
also was one of my issues with Chris and Dan, which is the disrespect to women.
Hmm.
Like they didn't seem to want to write a woman as being smart and savvy and strong without then humbling her in some way, like what they did with Maxie. But I digress. I will go on a rant. But
Oh,
yeah,
I know.
I'm
It's
hoping that with this, it's the complete death of that story. And that is one piece of GH history that Carly will ooh, wrong person. Elizabeth will find a way to completely erase.
I hope so. I mean,
Very
it
little
wouldn't
good came out of it.
surprise me if it gets brought up in the gossip column in the Invader with this new guy, whatever, since it looks like Nina will be completely in charge with Alexis planning on quitting, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. Either way, it's going to be a non-thing, and Nina will just be the bad guy again, which they should
Stupid.
just make her go crazy and
I mean,
just
either they
have a
need
lot
to
of
put
fun
her
with
in
it.
therapy and have her grow up at least a little bit, or they
Mhm.
just need to go all the way with making her crazy. That's like,
Exactly. Take the
there's
leash
just,
off and let her do her thing, which we know Cynthia Watros can play it.
yeah, she's done it
Annie
before.
Dutton, one of the best crazy, batshit crazy characters of all time.
Yeah. So like
We know
they
she
need to
can
pick a
play it.
lane. They need to
Hmm.
pick a lane because right
Right,
now she's just aggravating and but we're not there yet.
right.
So another hospital story that we had was between
Hmm.
Marshall and Stella. Sorry.
It's okay.
Um, he found out that he was misdiagnosed for the
Hmm.
schizophrenia, which another story that could have had real impact and value to the canvas that
Yep.
was completely mishandled
Right.
and ended up being going out with a whimper instead of a bang.
Although it's not over yet.
That's true.
You know,
That's
which will be, we'll talk
they
about.
they did leave a tag open for it to
Yes.
possibly be revisited.
And I'm
So
hoping that it'll be something that is handled properly under the
yes,
new regime.
that would be
This one, I
wonderful.
think, still needs to be revisited if they can do it properly. Absolutely. It's a very
That would
important,
be yeah.
it's an important story to tell. And
Uh-huh.
they have the pieces
Yeah,
and
I
they
hope
have the good actors to tell the story as well.
agreed. I hope that, that would be getting into March to really talk about them what
Hmm.
they, saying that they've done anything with it, but they
Hmm.
did leave it open to be able to
Hmm.
tag back into it. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that they did in the sense that I do feel the new writing regime could do justice to it.
Hmm.
Um, and I hope that they do.
Absolutely.
I also feel like, but to this point though, it was abysmally handled, just like with the hospital lawsuit.
Absolutely it was. It totally was. And I like I like the romance they've flirted with Marshall and Stella. The feelings that, because, with the guilt and stuff like that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to, I think Corte and Patrick could do great things with that too,
I'm
because
curious
that's
to see
just
if they can
angst.
get me into it.
They're just,
But
that's just angst waiting to happen.
they're
The angst
cute,
is built in.
but I don't feel it. I have not felt it yet. Like I don't know what it is that's not connecting for me yet. So I'm hoping that, with
Hmm.
whatever story that comes, they can get me into it. Either
Hmm.
that or they need to hook them up with other people. Like, because there's a
Right.
whole cast full of people that you could
Hmm.
have them engage with. I mean, especially if somebody is supposed to die one day soon. I mean, it'd be great to
Right.
see Tracy, randomly lean on someone new, someone that's
Hmm.
completely out of her scope. Maybe her interactions with, someone we'll discuss later could lead to her opening her eyes to a whole different brand of man. But we'll talk about that a bit later.
What else
Oh,
would be
or
really
now.
great too?
Mm-hmm.
What else would be really great? Another thing they could do with that is, they don't seem to know what to do with Trina while Spencer is
Mm-hmm.
dead.
Mm-hmm.
She wants something to take her mind off of things. So she teams up with
Ooh,
Marshall and Stella to get answers.
yeah, that
Trina's
would be
smart,
amazing.
she's resourceful. It would be, a great story for her, I think.
Some place for her to put her grief that actually is a story. I
Exactly.
love that idea.
Exactly. I think it would be fabulous.
Speaking of
And it would
Trina's
be.
grief,
Hmm.
we can go into why she's grieving. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Trina and Spencer had their wonderful trip to Paris destroyed by baby crazy Esme. Yeah, I'm putting it in those in that perspective because I can't stand Esme, even though you had a soft spot for her, whatever, whatever.
I did. And my soft spot for Esme was 100% her portrayer. Avery Kristen Pohl was one of the
Fantastic.
best young actors I have seen come across the boards for soaps in, honestly, she's my favorite since Sarah Joy Brown showed up.
Ooh,
And
damn.
I
High
really
praise.
think she was on that caliber.
High praise.
I mean, I do. And she threw herself in 110%. And you got to give the girl credit too, because she got a lot of shit online
Well,
because
here's
of
the
her
thing.
character. And she took it on the chin. And she leaned into the joking names with Esme and all of that
Mhm.
stuff. And I appreciate that from her.
Yeah, I think that she's young enough to understand that some like the character versus individual aspect of like the joking on Twitter. So
Mhm.
she never took it personal. And I don't
Right.
think that anyone ever really meant it personal. Well, I'm sure there are a few crazies who meant it personally, but I feel like
Yeah.
most people were able who were making the jokes were talking about character, not her individual as a person. Because the thing is, I was seeing that the same people who would be like egregious, which was my favorite, and whatever else what they called Esme would also be quick to talk about how fan freaking tastic Avery was. So I feel like there was this balance of respect for the actress who they hated the character of. And I made my heart warm because that so rarely happens anymore on Twitter that like sometimes it can be downright exhausting, to deal with.
I did see a lot of that, but I also saw some bashing of her personally because they didn't
Oh,
like her take in a magazine, in an interview and stuff like that. And what a lot of people don't understand is that it's not that these actors are delusional about who they're playing, but when
mm-hmm.
you're playing a character like that, you have to sell it. You can't hate your character. You can't think that they're complete. You have to find the humanity in them. You
That's a
have
good
to,
point.
because you can't accurately portray them if
If you
you hate
can't
them
find
and
humanity.
you can't find that humanity.
And
And
that's a fair
that's
point.
across the boards, across the boards. I mean, a famous example like Lin-Manuel Miranda before they took the stage in Hamilton, he, cast all those characters and they were all people of color, and he made them really sit in the history of their characters. Like the actors who played George Washington and all of his close aides, he took them to Mount Vernon, and there's video of them touring the slave quarters and stuff like that, and talking about how it's they had to find a way to find, knowing that this man did those things, especially with who they were,
Mm-hmm.
but to still try to play him as the hero he was portraying in that show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a thing across, that's the acting business.
Yeah. No, my thing is usually when an actor tries to humanize their character, I don't have a problem with it.
Mhm.
Sometimes they go a little too far, but that
Right.
I try to give a bit
Mhm.
of a bit of compassion on that.
Right.
Sometimes I'm just like, no, you went too far. This is why your character is delusional because so are you. I said what I said. No, but
But I
it's
remember I
armchair
interviewed
quarterback.
I interviewed Allie Mills at the Emmys
Mm-hmm.
this year. And she is so hysterical. She's talking to Heather. She's like, I love her. She's so smart.
Mm-hmm.
And to her, she's doing everything for the right reasons. She's
Mm-hmm.
protecting her daughter. She's doing these things for her family. She is doing what has to be done. And, she was channeling her character in it.
Yes.
But
You
that's
had
why
to
the woman took home
see.
the award because she played her so convincingly. It's not like Allie Mills is a crazy psychotic serial killer,
Yeah,
but she
that we know of. No,
right. But
kidding,
she found
kidding.
the humanity in Heather to be able to play her as more than just a caricature.
Yeah, and I think that's why
And
her version works so well because she
right.
really has found. that in her.
Mhm.
And I love
Yes.
it. I love it. Hers is a little bit more of a quirky version, which
Mhm.
not to say Heather wasn't a quirky character to begin with, but like
Right.
there was something a little slinkier about the prior portrayer, and this
Yes.
one's a little bit more goofball,
Yeah,
quirky.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
it works for her, and she's making
Mhm.
it feel still natural.
Oh,
But,
absolutely. Absolutely.
but yeah.
It's one of my favorite parts of the
So.
show. But yeah, so I think that sometimes people forget that the actors have to find the humanity, find the motivation for
Hmm.
their characters to be able to bring these performances to us.
Yeah.
Um, and
So there's a
so many
certain
of
amount of
them do it so
rationalization that
well. Absolutely. You have to. And they
hmm
all do it. Every one of
yeah,
them do it.
that's
They
true.
have to. It's you know, but
Now, so
she
the
can.
reason why Esme broke up Spencer and Trina's Parisian holiday
Hmm.
was because Spencer handed Ace over to Nick, and then Nick disappeared. So
Hmm.
Esme got it into her head the only way to get her baby back would be to kidnap Spencer and then tell Laura to get in touch with Nick to get the baby back. And I'm like, okay, there's a thread of logic in there, but it's also riddled with stupidity. I'm so sorry. Well,
Well,
no, not necessarily. Okay,
she
not
also figured that Spencer had more information than he was giving. It was
okay.
multifaceted. She said that she thought Spencer had more information than he was giving,
Oh, okay,
which is
gotcha.
why she also targeted Trina, because she figured that Trina would be who Spencer would cough up the information for.
I didn't
And
catch that piece of dialogue.
she's not wrong, but
He
Spencer
is who
didn't
she would
have
do it.
any other information.
Yeah, she is absolutely who he would do it for, but he didn't
Right.
have
He didn't
anything
have
else.
the info.
He didn't want anything else for the very fact that he didn't want someone to be able to do
Right.
exactly what she tried to do. But
Right.
anyway, she broke up their Parisian holiday, and one
Mhm.
of my favorite things about this whole thing was Trina. I love when Trina gets to be so as like plucky as she really is. She's
Mhm.
so smart, and
Oh
it's
God,
stupid
yes.
to underestimate her. She's
Mhm.
so smart and so like it just comes so like easily. It makes so much sense for her to be this like smart, witty character. Like
Mhm.
Esme really thought she could just tie her up and leave her, and that the only person she needed to worry about was Spencer. And the next thing she knows, here comes Trina, free of her, ties
True.
and ready to fight. And I'm like, the only problem that I had with Trina in this instance is your father's a cop and you don't know self defense. Why?
Well, not only that though, then they
Mhm.
had Trina underestimate Esme the same exact way and just leave her ass laying there.
That part, I'm like, I
So,
like
yeah,
it was twofold. Like you have her be the smartest girl in the room and the dumbest at the same time. Like, what are you doing?
right,
But the thing is, they
exactly.
did the same thing to Esme. Esme was a really
Hmm.
smart villain for 1 second and then a dumb one the next.
Right.
So, you know, but like
Yeah,
like I said, it was great scenes. All of the young actors
it was
involved
amazing soap.
were incredible. I was
Hmm.
uncomfortable at multiple parts. Um, Here's my thing, the Spencer thing. It made me a little uncomfortable how quickly he went for her throat. Now, part of me was like, okay, he is, in protective mode. She has done something with his girlfriend. So
Hmm.
yeah, I can see the anger, but there's always going to be a part of me that's just a little bit off put by a man putting his hands on a woman.
Right.
And so I just want to, it's only fair that we make that point and make that
Hmm.
statement, for those
Absolutely.
who also felt that way. And
Absolutely.
so there was something that was off-putting about that for me that just did not settle right in my spirit completely. But,
I don't disagree.
for the sake of the story, it also kind of made sense. So I wasn't completely against it.
Yeah. And I get that too. One thing I'll also say though, I love Trina, so I hated Esme going after Trina, but
Mm-hmm.
Spencer had it coming. He gave that girl's baby away.
He did.
And he thinks she's a crazy psychopath. What the fuck did he think was going to happen? I'm just saying.
I mean, you make a valid point. He should
Was
have
she
been watching
really,
his back more.
did he really think she was just going to accept it after she had made her whole life about that baby? Mm, that boy was
I
not right.
Here's my thing. I don't even know that I believe that it was about the baby as much as she claimed it was. Um, because like from the very beginning, she called that thing an ace in the hole. She called her kid an ace in the hole.
True,
And
but that was before she
and the thing
had
is,
the baby.
and then she had the baby and she had amnesia while she was having the baby.
Right.
And that version of her amnesia Esme, I 110% believe was all about that baby. You could not
Right.
tell me she wasn't. That one I
Right.
had I had empathy for, sympathy for. I was pissed that they did that to try and turn us on how we felt about Esme without
Mm-hmm.
having that full like comeuppance like situation
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I understood and believed that version of Esme loved Ace.
Mm-hmm.
Then she came back, and every action she took went back to the sociopath who saw Ace as a possession and not a baby.
See, I don't agree with that because, you know, she did turn herself in. Laura convinced herself to turn herself in for breaking into Windermere
Here's my thing.
because it was the best thing for her son, and she did it. And the thing is that yes, she got the crazy psycho back, but her love for she didn't forget, her love for the baby didn't go away. And that was shown to me very clearly when she knocked the captain out, and then was when no one else was around. She wasn't putting on a show for anybody. She thought this guy was dead, or knew at the very least he was unconscious, and was like, I'm so sorry, I need to get my baby back. You know what I mean? But she felt bad that she had, did that to this innocent person that had nothing to do with it. And that wasn't putting on an act for anybody. There was nobody there to see it. So that
I
scene
I didn't
said a
get that
lot
she
to
was
me.
necessarily that it was her. Like, see, that was me. Here's my thing. When
Mhm.
she got her memories back, I I genuinely feel that she saw Ace as a possession more than a child at that point because of multiple things that she did over that time period. But the thing that kind of I don't think that she saw herself as seeing him as a possession. She saw herself as loving him. So she somehow like absolved herself of all her bad behavior. So like because of that fact, she's like, okay, I'm a good person now who's been wronged because of mistakes of my past. And so, yeah, you didn't actually do anything. And I actually kind of should say I'm sorry. Like, I don't feel like she legitimately felt bad about what she did necessarily because she loved that baby. I just felt like she's a good person now and doing something because she has to do it. Like I feel like she had created a narrative in her head about what she was doing and why, and that particular response fit that narrative in her head.
Okay, but you said that you believed that Amnesia Esme loved her child and really,
Mm-hmm.
so you think that the love changed with her getting her memory back and
Yes,
wasn't that same love? I don't
yes.
think it works that way. I can't see it working that way.
We basically know Jason Morgan, so we know it works that way.
Right, but Jason Morgan forgot his previous stuff. That's the difference. She didn't forget. And when Jason lost his memory again, or and then but had his old memories back, it wasn't he wasn't a different it wasn't stuff wasn't different. Jason Morgan is a different thing because Jason Quartermain meant nothing to him. He had no memories, no feelings about Jason Quartermain. This, when Esme got her memories back, it was a meld. She still remembered and felt everything. She just
Mm,
remembered the stuff from before as well. It's a different thing than Jason Morgan, I think.
okay, I can see that argument. I still didn't get the vibe. There's something that went missing in her eyes and in the way she responded to things that did not feel like, maybe it was the fact that before she found out her child was missing, she fell back into her obsession with Spencer again so completely, right up until she found out Spencer gave away Ace, that makes it feel like she really didn't care about the kid. Because like it was like right up until she found out that Ace was missing, it was everything was about Spencer, not necessarily Ace, and
Right.
skirting responsibility for things, like not going to jail for things. So she was like, let me continue to play this role of amnesia Esme so nobody thinks that there's anything wrong here, and so that I don't go to jail for things. And okay, this is what Laura says I should do. If I were amnesia Esme, this is what I would do. So let's play the game. Let's go
Right.
ahead and
But
ride this out.
you just almost made my point for me because you said that she went back to being obsessed with Spencer. But as soon as he was a threat to her relationship with her child, he didn't matter one goddamn bit to her.
Yes, he did.
No,
He
he
wanted her
not as a I want you. That he didn't matter. Her whatever feelings she had for him were done
no.
because of her child. She didn't still want Spencer back from that moment. There was nothing about her that wanted Spencer back. It was
Here's the
never
thing. I'm
I'm
not
going to
saying
get
that
him and
she
we're going to be a family.
I'm not, but her obsession didn't change. I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. Her obsession changed, but her obsession did not change targets. She stayed obsessed with Spencer and Trina.
Because Spencer was the one who had given her child away. So that's what the obsession was
But the
there.
thing is,
It
she
was
was
a hundred
already
percent
obsessed with him before that. Like she was
right,
already
but she was
trying to
obsessed
plot
with
and
having
scheme.
him for herself. She was obsessed with the love, and it was never after he gave the kid away. It was never a how can I use this to bring him closer to me? How can I get my kid and him? It wasn't that. She was would have set him on fire if it brought her child back. That's all she cared about, not him anymore. Any, fantasy or whatever that she had had about him was over. Her obsession about him was 100% rooted in I'm getting my baby back.
Okay, I can kind of see it.
You know what I mean? I'm not canonizing Esme. I'm really not. And honestly, as much as I would love Avery Kristen Pullback, I
Mm-hmm.
want her to come back as Esme's twin,
Agreed.
Esme's sister, that just they look alike, or a completely new character because I
Agreed.
love the actress. But
The
I
actress is
don't
amazing.
want them to bring Esme back. The ship sailed on any redemption. There were so many. I mean, they built in redemption into her story. And they could even bring her back as like a vixen, bring her to town looking for, she wants her sister's baby.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make her a psycho who's going to kill everybody. But
Yeah,
fuck all y'all, this baby has other family.
I would
And we
absolutely be
all
fine
have
with it.
branches on that family tree, Miss Laura Spencer,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I would love them to do that. Yes,
Yeah.
I would love Avery to come back as another character because
Mhm.
Esme has burned her last bridge. Like
Right.
she is in Ryan territory, where if anytime she would ever come back, it would have to be under
Right.
the cover of darkness, so to speak,
Mhm.
because she's just burned too many bridges without
Mhm.
consequence for us to be able to see her as a person. fully.
Mhm.
It's always going to be about why we
Right.
didn't get redemption from.
And it's just so sad because they really could have redeemed her. I don't believe that she was a character that could not have been redeemed.
Agreed.
Um,
I think there were ways to redeem her, but there would
yeah.
have required a certain amount of like actual consequences to do it. And because they gave her that baby and amnesia and tried to quick whitewash her, it ruined her path to redemption for me.
Now, what would be interesting, Amnesia Spencer is wandering around Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Don't tell me that Esme's twin finds Amnesia Spencer and brings him back to Port Charles.
no, what I'm saying, Spencer finds Esme's twin, thinks she's Esme.
Mm,
She susses out the whole story from him. She brings his ass back to Port Charles
mm,
and is like, here's your boy. He won't leave me alone. He thinks I'm his girlfriend.
mm.
Move along, boy. That's your girl. That's your family. Now tell me about this baby.
I mean, that could be interesting.
Yeah. I don't want her wanting Spencer. One, comprised entirely of red flags. Every woman is too good for him. We'll just leave it at that.
Well,
I'm just saying
speaking
there are.
of Spencer and Esme being missing, we have had their
Mhm.
feud as well.
Yep.
Nicholas came back just
Hmm.
before the funeral to return Ace because he was feeling so much guilt over losing one child over the other that
And
he felt the only thing
this
he could do was return Ace to Lara.
and the scenes with him and Laura, Adam Huss.
Look,
I can't say
I
enough good things.
have not felt a connection to Nicholas since Christopher left the
Mhm.
role. That was the last time that I gave a damn about the character of Nicholas. And they were well on the road to doing, I don't know what the fuck Chris and Dan were doing with the character of Nicholas, but it was nothing nice and it was
Don't feel
nothing
bad.
good.
They don't know either. So,
Unfortunately, no one knew what they were doing with him and none of it was good and they did not find necessarily the best actor to replace such an accomplished performer.
right. I
I'm
mean,
gonna say it like that because I'm trying to be nice and respectful. Because I
even
know
with as
there are
much of
people
a
who like him.
train wreck personally as Stephen Martinez was. So that
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
that's what it was.
I loved him and Gia. Him and Gia were just
Agreed.
fire.
Yeah,
But
and he had a
I mean,
great energy with Laura too, like that whole
right.
like
But
redheaded
Adam,
stepchild son. Hmm.
right. Adam Huss brought the Dark Prince back.
Yes,
He did.
yes. He
Um,
reminded us that Nicholas has a heart. That
yes,
Nicholas is misguided
absolutely.
sometimes, but he leads with his heart often,
Yeah,
more than any other Cassadine ever has.
right.
And we had lost that for a very
God,
long time.
yes.
And
Yeah.
I needed that back so bad because I was such a Prince Nick
Oh.
fan.
Mm-hmm.
And losing that aspect of him broke my heart. And it felt like
Right.
in just those few scenes, I got my Nicholas back. And I
The
didn't think that
scenes
was
with.
possible without Tyler. I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely thought that we were gonna have to see Nicholas, take a dirt nap and just be done with the character.
Oh.
But like for the first time, like I'm tearing up thinking about it, like seeing him
Mm-hmm.
break down Laura like that. I'm
Was phenomenal. And I mean,
okay. You go.
I'm friendly with Adam. He is wonderful. I got to know him by interviewing him first,
Mm-hmm.
when he was temp Nick, and we've gotten to know each other more now. And he's a wonderful human being, but more than the actor that he is. Even when he was coming in as Nick, just temp,
Mm-hmm.
while Marcus was out sick, the amount of work. he put into learning the backstory. And then when he was coming in for a longer time, even more, he asked me, he was like, please, any clips. I need clips. I need clips of Nick doing this. I need clips of Nick doing that. I need his relationships. I need, and he studied Stavros. He studied Stefan. He studied the work he put in blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. And I've dealt with a lot of actors, and he just, I have
He was
so
hungry
much
for it.
respect for him.
He was
He
hungry
just
for it, and he respects who Nicholas Cassadine is to the
absolutely,
fan. And
absolutely
that is so important when you're doing a
so
recast,
important. Hmm.
understanding the character and respecting the fan's intelligence,
Yes.
which sometimes doesn't get done by the actors or the writers or the whatever else is behind the
Right.
scenes there. But like, I
Hmm.
appreciated so much what Adam Huss brought. Like,
Just
his instant connection with Nicholas
hmm.
Alexander Chavez, his
Yeah.
his instant bond with Baby Ace, the way that he had down the Nick and Laura relationship within seconds. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
He had chemistry with Mora. He had chemistry with Avery. He had chemistry with Rebecca.
Did not see him not have chemistry with anybody that he
Right.
needed to have it with. Like,
It was
him and Laura,
amazing.
I was like, this is why for a little while I was a Neva fan.
Right.
And, I get it again. It's also why I was a Niz fan. I'm starting to get it again. Like,
Right.
he came in and hit the ground running. And if they decide to bring him back, I will not complain.
Mm-mm. He is absolutely, I'm praying that Patrick wants to reinvigorate the Cassadines, and he's the anchor of it, being the Dark Prince. He really, absolutely, it's
Absolutely.
needed. And he
Absolutely.
is, unfortunately, sadly, Tyler isn't an option. He
Rest
passed
in
and
peace.
it was tragic. It truly was. Um, so, that's the reality,
Yeah.
is we can get ROG back.
We'll
Um,
never be able to
Never
have
forget him.
him, but if we can have someone who honors and respects what he created and is
And
willing
yes,
to take it forward into the future with that honor and respect.
absolutely.
Okay, why
Yep.
am I tearing up again?
Oh,
Probably because I'm thinking about Tyler. This is not
yeah.
cute. It's I need y'all to respect my gangster, and you won't if you think I'm a big old titty baby. Okay,
It's
sorry,
okay. It's all
even though.
right.
But
But I
anyway,
agree with you that Adam honors Tyler and Tyler's portrayal with his portrayal.
I
He
agree. I
doesn't
feel
try
the
to
work
erase
he put in, it
him. Hmm.
shows his respect,
Yes.
and that is so valuable and important.
Hmm.
And I did appreciate it. Um, I also appreciated Spencer's funeral,
Hmm.
um, as well as Esme's in different ways
Yeah.
for different reasons. I think they handled it really, really well for
Yes.
the limited amount of time that they gave it.
Right. And they gave it a limited amount of time because everybody knows Spencer's not really dead.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. But I thought Kevin at Esme's grave was very touching.
Before we get
I
to Kevin and Esmeralda's grave, because I do want to kind of go into that a little bit deeper. But first, I
Mhm.
want to talk about Spencer's because there were a lot of people there that I didn't necessarily know what to expect from.
I was actually going to go back even further than that a little bit.
Okay.
Trina and Joss calling Cam and being the ones to tell him.
Oh my God, my heart.
I think that was beautiful.
That was
And
perfect.
I loved them all together at his funeral
The
because
Three
that's
Musketeers
how it should have
reuniting.
been. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Um,
And I love
so
that they didn't let any past chaos. Oh
mhm.
God, that was random. Sorry,
But
guys.
yeah,
But like,
interesting, good choice.
yeah, get in the
Dex was
way of,
respectful and didn't go.
yeah. The three of
They
them got to
respected
have their
Cameron's spot.
moment to
Mm-hmm.
really just be together and bond and hold each other up during that
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Yep.
They were there for Trina when she needed it the most, but they were there for each other.
Other as well.
That was
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
special.
Mm-hmm.
Also, speaking of chaos, like, where were these sparks when chaos was together? I said what I said. I know some people are like, oh, they always had chemistry. To you, to me, that was my first time seeing it. I
Well, we
want
all know
real.
chemistry is subjective.
We all know it's subjective. I just have the
And
right answer
yeah.
on every subject. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
No,
I know.
right in all the subjects. So
I
it's only
also
correct.
I loved Alexis and Sam
That
working on
was
the obituary.
not. I feel like a lot of people were upset because it didn't address adult Spencer much. However, what I'm going to say to that is sometimes when people who are young pass away,
Hmm.
you start getting lost in how they were as kids, like young
Right.
kids. And you don't think about them as they were when they passed. You think about all of the
Right.
hopes and dreams for the future you had for them when they were really, really young.
Especially when you're somebody like an aunt or a parent. You
Mm-hmm.
look at these people in your lives, even though, yes, technically they're grown ass adults, there's always going to be a portion of that child that you see in them.
Yeah. And so I
And
understand. Do I think that it could have been like maybe one mention of like something cute between them as adults, Spencer? Yes. I do feel like there could have maybe been something mentioned. But I understand why they got lost in remembering little Spencer
right,
because, you're thinking so deeply about
right.
how much time he had in front of him and how many faint dreams you guys had for his
Mhm.
future and who he could have become and who he still was on the road to becoming. And now that's all gone. So
Right.
your mind goes to a simpler, safer time. Um,
And again, he's not really dead. So
yeah, he's also not really dead. So, they weren't going to give it necessarily more time than what they gave it. I thought
exactly.
it was cute. I didn't think it was the end of the world that they didn't go the
Right.
direction they did, but I understand why some people felt a little some way. Um, I was surprised by how many people did show up. Like, I was wondering why the Chase men were there. I get Finn because Finn is dating Elizabeth, and Elizabeth was
Mhm.
there, to pay her respects and what have you. I didn't understand Chase being there. I didn't understand Gregory being there.
Wait, was Chase there? I thought it was just Gregory that was there.
Oh, no, no, you're right. Chase wasn't there. I'm sorry. I might be thinking of a different scenario. Never mind.
Yeah, because Finn and Gregory had that scene at the cemetery afterwards where Gregory had his episode. So I think it was just Finn and Gregory. I understand Gregory being there because he was there for Alexis.
Ah,
Because
okay.
him and
I
Alexis have that like besties kind of bond now, and she's been there for him so much. So I think that that's why.
gotcha. Okay. See, that one was one of the ones that I was having difficulty with because it's like, why
Mhm.
is Gregory even here? Like,
Right.
why would he feel like he needs to hold up Finn? Finn wasn't that.
No, I think he was holding up. He was there for
But
Alexis.
now that you mention Alexis, it clicks and makes
Yeah,
perfect sense. Sunny was there and pretended to give a shit. Sam and her sisters were there. Was Molly there? Did Molly remember to make appearance, or was she at the courthouse
I
again?
don't. I don't remember. I don't know if her and TJ were there. I can't. I don't think so. Even though
Yeah,
they
they
really
like to
should have been.
not have her give a damn about
Right.
things that are involving her family. So that needs to
It's
probably change.
possible that she was, but I can't remember at this point. Portia and
I know
Curtis were
Christina
there
was
for
there.
Trina.
Yes, Portia and Curtis were there for Trina, which was
Ava was there.
awkward. Ava was
Ava was
there.
there for Sunny and for Trina.
Trina. Yeah. And
Hmm.
I mean, for the most part, the people who were there made sense being there.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin was
Yeah.
there with Laura, who was kind of holding court like she actually cares about Spencer. But let me not get started on Laura because I will drag her forever. Um, but no, it was a good funeral. Hearing the obituary, I feel like I'm not always the biggest Nancy Lee Grahn fan. Uh, But one of the things that she does really well is when they give her a good monologue to really like put her emotion into, she can really hit it out of the park. And I feel like she did that with this.
Oh, yeah,
It
I
it
agree.
really set the right tone for
Hmm.
saying goodbye to Spencer. So I do feel
Yes.
like that was well done as well.
And honestly, I think that having his obituary be mostly the William Shakespeare quote
Mm-hmm.
was very Cassadine of them.
Oh, it was so cat. That
You know
was
what I mean? It was an
perfect.
incredibly Cassadine moment.
Absolutely. It was definitely Dark Princeling energy. I was like,
Hmm.
yes, thank you
Right.
for remembering who the fuck you're dealing with here. Like,
I still want to know
I
what the
still need
hell
Ace and
they
Fanny to be
buried.
king.
I still want to know what the hell they buried.
I stand by my belief that they have like funeral plots that they just have.
I
And so
agree.
they
But I'm just
already
like, just a
sit
thing
them
they
out.
roll out that looks like a roll of amount of dirt. But I'm just like, they were swept out to sea. They do the same thing with Sunny and everybody, but it never fails to crack me up. Never.
Eh, true. And then, of course,
It's
Ava
one of
had the
those
after
things that
party.
made me laugh. And Ava
And then
had
Ava
the after
had
party
her
at
after party
Windermere.
in Windermere. And that was when I wanted Chaos to have grief sex in one of the rooms there. I said what I said. I saw a lot of chemistry
I
there.
know what you said.
And, and people are like, didn't she already cheat on Cam? Cam deserves better. Cam deserves something warm and wet to welcome him home. And look,
Okay.
he was looking cute. I
Hmm.
feel like college has really done him well, and the chemistry that I was getting off of him and Joss was doing me well. So if they wanted to sneak upstairs and have a little grief sex in Spencer's honor, I would not have been mad at it. Not at all. Not mad at
Okay.
all. I said what I said, and people are going to be like, "What are you talking about, you nut
I'm a
job?"
Jex
Guess what?
fan. I'm a Jex fan, but
You are.
I also, do love mess. So I wouldn't have been like, oh my God, this is the end of the world.
Here's my thing.
And it would have
I
given Cam his
there.
pound of flesh.
I I mean, it would have been his get back. He would have gotten his lick back, and I'm always a supporter of getting your lick back.
Mhm.
And he would have gotten his lick back with that. Number one. Number two, they were hot together, even though they were supposed to be grieving. They were giving me a different kind of energy. I was like, why are you whispering in her ear like that? Why don't you
Mhm.
just whisper somewhere else and let's have fun? I said what I said. I mean, it's a soap. You're supposed to have somebody having grief sex. We had
I
literally
I
no
agree.
grief sex, and they were the best chemistry option
I
available. And I'm
agree.
like, let's go explore Windermere so we can think about Spencer and how much he used to love it here. Let me show you where he used to play hide and seek when we were kids. And then they can get
Are
locked
a
into a
whole
room
mess,
and just
girl.
hook the fuck up. I'm so serious. And some people are gonna hate it, some people are gonna love it. I said what I said.
You
They
always
should have
do.
absolutely been the ones who had grief sex, and it would
Well,
have been hot. And then he could have
you
gone
know,
back to school and hooked up with what's her name? What is her name?
Emma.
Emma. Yeah, gone back to Emma. It's fine. It's fine. Jason did it with Jason did it with
I was
Carly and
gonna say
Robin.
that's a really weird throwback to the summer of '96.
Um, yes. Look, it worked for Jason. You know, it worked out for Jason. I'm just saying.
Did it though? Lots of people would say it
Although,
didn't work out for Jason.
I mean, he still got Carly to this day. So did it really not work out for him or did it work out for him?
I think
And
it worked
Robin,
out for him. You think it worked out for him. There's a whole lot of people who don't think it worked out for him, but
as
we're
far
the
as the Robins fans, they're still friends, aren't they? You still have him as a friend, not that Robin's ever around to actually do anything except for when she's very barely there every once in a while. Whatever. It's not important. She's not important. I mean, she was
poor
at one
Robin
point to the
catching
canvas, but
strays.
now whatever, because she's never here. She's always on her coast with her man and her kids and living her best life, and good for her in that. But like, as far as the show is concerned, she's not really important. Her kids will be important when they come back to Port Charles and leave her behind on the East Coast, on the West Coast. It's fine. But I digress. I say all of that to say, Chaos should have
should
given
have
us grave
been.
sex.
We know. All right.
That's what I want at some point. When next time Kim comes to town, I want him to wear her ass out. I said what I said. I'm gonna keep saying it because the chemistry was chemistry, and he looked the fuck good. And the other thing that I want to say, I need them to change Ace's name.
No,
Turn it
I
into an
love
abbreviation.
Ace's name.
Turn it into an abbreviation. Alexander Christoph. I don't remember what's an E name that sounds Russian or something.
Yeah.
Yes, no, he is a fucking Cassadine. Why is there a fucking Cassadine named Ace? Disrespect the last
they don't
walker.
get to erase his mother completely.
That's why I'm saying make Ace his nickname.
Nope.
You name him Alexander Christensen Ivanovich Cassadine. There you
Ivanovich
go.
Is I. Ivanovich is I. Listen to me.
You spelled Ivanovich with an E this time. That's what I'm saying.
Mama
You got to make
Ace. We're calling him Ace.
That's what, but I never said you had to stop calling him Nate. I never said you had to stop calling him Ace.
His name is Ace.
His name is Alexander Christensen Ivanovich Cassadine. I'm standing on business with this shit. They need to make his name Cassadine. He can be called Ace for the rest of his fucking life, as long as his name is Cassadine. We didn't call Nicholas Stavanovich, all this other shit that they tossed in his name. We called him Nick. But guess what? His name was Nicholas Cassadine. Listen, like, we can do the same thing with Ace. Fix that shit, and I don't care what you have to say on the subject. I'm right.
Spencer wanted to name Aiden Buzz Lightyear when they thought that he was the Niz baby.
Because he was a smart-ass Cassadine child. But that does not matter. He would have been named something appropriate. Or at least been given an appropriate nickname, like middle name or something. But I need my Cassadines to fucking Cassadine again. And I'm sick of this shit where they're trying to Americanize my fucking Cassadines. Fuck that shit. I'm out. No, I want my Cassadines back. And if we're going to have my Cassadines back, then we're going to give my Cassadine baby a damn Cassadine baby name. We are not erasing their history.
Cassadine baby names. Ace.
Them too. No, I want all my Cassadines to have Cassadine fucking names. You are not ruining my fucking lineage. Chris and Dan have done enough to ruin my goddamn lineage. They need to fix that shit. I'm standing on business with this one. Standing on business.
Moving on. Back to the funerals.
Esme. Okay. Kevin and Liz were really adorable together. They charmed me. Not a Liz fan over here. Never been a Liz fan. But I was very charmed by their interaction. Mm-hmm. It set the right tone. I was very pleasantly surprised by what I got. Not by, Becky Hurst's acting chops. I'm never surprised. She always gives what she's supposed to give. Not worried about that part of it. But like I said, I'm not a Liz fan. So sometimes with her interactions, I'm just like, when will this shit be over? Because I don't particularly care about her character often. But this time I felt a really good bond. Strangely, like they don't interact ever, but I would almost be like, I want to see them around each other more. Like it was like this paternal energy he was giving near her. And she connected to that, and it felt very familial for them to not have that connection. And it was a great tone to set, like two people who were cautiously grieving over this person who for most people was something of a monster. It was go ahead. I felt like it was a very necessary juxtaposition to kind of the way Spencer was more celebrated in death, and there was a little bit of a cautious awkwardness in the grieving of Esme.
Mhm. It, I think it made a lot of sense for Kevin
Mm-hmm.
because all the guilt he had always had about not being able to help his brother,
Mm-hmm.
I think it made sense that he felt the same about Esme.
Yes.
Um, but and I loved, you know, I mean, I love everything Heather does.
Agreed.
Um, it's, you know, bizarre her Liz love, but I know that's all tied into Franco.
Uh-huh. She's
And I
basically projecting
also,
all of that on
right.
Liz now.
And I know that was supposed to play into the story that played into Jason's return. I don't know if they've dropped it or not. We'll see as it unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of it as well. But you know, I thought that her reaction about her daughter,
Mm-hmm.
because Esme was just her baby to her, and she's
Mm-hmm.
crazy, so whatever. But I thought
Yeah.
it was good.
She knocked that out of the park. I swear Mills is incredible. She's
Mm,
so incredible. She always gives what she's supposed to give. And I do appreciate that although we never saw a Kesme relationship on screen, they gave
another
him some
more of those
dialogue to
beats.
try to explain
Yeah.
it to some degree. Because that was desperately needed
Oh God, yeah.
um
Yeah,
under the
absolutely.
circumstance. So I'm glad that we at least got an explanation that there was a
Mhm.
connection, even if it wasn't discussed.
Right.
Um, there's more with, Ace and Lara and Kevin and what have you that we'll discuss for later in the show because there's a different angle with them and with Nick. Oh, one other thing that happened is Nick decided that he would turn himself in to go to jail,
Yeah.
which no character of importance ever stays in jail forever. So he'll probably come out
Right.
at some point.
Exactly.
And but that
He'll
leads to
give
the
the
other part
warden
of
CPR or something and get a pardon.
yeah. Or, some kind of Cassadine information will be spilled somewhere and they'll need him out.
Right.
So they'll find a way to give him a pardon, whatever. But
Exactly.
it does also set up a nice, interesting, disturbing dynamic that Martin will play into. And we'll discuss that a little bit later. Speaking of an angle that also disturbs me at times, Trina and Ava. Ava has been a very strong support system and for
Hmm.
Trina and a very loud cheerleader for her.
Hmm.
I do not always love this relationship,
Okay.
even though Mara and both actresses who've played Trina have done an incredible job
Hmm.
of building the relationship. And the reason for that is, and this is something that no, I don't really ever see anyone address, but like it feels like they used Trina to whitewash Ava. It's like all of the hardships and the wrongs that she's done to the canvas are wiped away because of how she treats Trina, this
Right.
beloved character. And I'm
I
like,
don't disagree.
it's creepy to me at times how
Hmm.
much they try to treat her like she's Trina's mother more
Right.
than Portia. It's
Hmm.
the vibe does not pass the vibe check for me at times. Um, we've seen how she is as a mother to women. We saw it in how
Right.
she treated her own child in her
Right.
life. The things that she did, the extremes that she went to, the trauma that like she seduced her daughter's boyfriend and then she seduced him again in a disguise and then she fucked up his like medication to get him away from her and then she hooked up with the wrong guy and ended up getting her killed by accident. Like there's so much wrong in the dynamic of Ava as a parental figure. And then they just bring in Trina, this charming, lovable, smart, funny character that you just can't help but like want to love on and support and encourage. And add to that the fact that she's a Black woman. So people are going to automatically be extra protective of her, considering how much of a problem that is in soaps. As far as Black actresses and Black characters being treated with respect and honor, and then you use her to whitewash a character who has had such a troubling history with younger women. It's icky a little bit to me.
Here's my problem too. I don't buy that Trina, with as good of a friend as she is to Joss, would have ever let Ava get that close to her after what Ava did to Joss's family.
That's another thing that's always been weird because, like,
Right.
Joss and Trina are written as having grown up together, being thick as
And
thieves,
thick as
both of
thieves,
each other's
besties for,
parents,
right,
love the other, and support the other, and are like, they're
right.
close. So
But
why she would
Trina's
be
gonna
like,
be, yeah, Trina's gonna pay any mind whatsoever to the woman that is partially responsible for Joss's brother's death and
in the way that he
very
died.
responsible for getting Michael's father killed and helped Nell terrorize Carly.
Yeah, like it's a lot of things that
It's
she's
a
having to
lot of,
overlook,
right,
and it's never been addressed why
right,
she's able to overlook them. And I'm like, yes, this is your friend, so you don't necessarily have to fight her battles. That's one thing.
right.
However, that also means that as your best friend, you're not necessarily wanting to build relationships with people who have harmed them in such
Exactly.
detrimental and
That's
dangerous
the thing.
ways.
Right. It's not that, Trina should be attacking Ava, but the fact that she ever let herself get close to Ava
That's
is
weird.
is weird.
I mean, she's such a smart girl.
Right.
Like, she peeped Esme faster than almost anyone, but got a blind spot for Ava.
Right.
It the dichotomy just like does my head in so bad. But then again, you've got these actresses in Tabiana and Mara who
Right.
make me believe the bond. And it's aggravating because I want to just be able to sink into it because they're so phenomenal at it.
Right.
But then my brain kicks in and it's like,
Right. Yeah.
it leaves me kind of feeling conflicted. Conflicted is a good word for that relationship.
Right.
I'm of two sides. Part of me is like, ew, this is weird. Get her a fucking way from Trina. Also, Trina, what the fuck are you doing, ma'am? And then on the
Right.
other side, it's like, Mara and Tabiana, I would like to kneel at your feet. You guys are goddesses. You're incredible
Right.
actresses. This is like the bond of a lifetime. You could charm the sun out of the sky. Like,
Right. I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. But, it is what it is. They have the relationship.
I would be curious to see if some of the things that are being hinted for Ava in the upcoming days on this show, both in February and in March,
Hmm.
if with those things that relationship can survive.
Well, that's true because, I mean,
I mean, we
how
haven't
is,
played those beats yet, and we have writers coming in who love angst and
yeah,
love relationship angst
right,
and would absolutely be able to make the absolute most out of playing the angst of, we've built up this relationship because I thought you had become this different person than who you were before. I thought you had the potential to be something more than this problematic person. And now I found out you're right back to where you started. And
right,
how do I juxtapose that with my best friend relationship, who I convinced her that we
right.
could trust you, only
I
to,
mean,
you know,
even if Ava's not,
mm-hmm,
pulling some grand puppet strings,
mm-hmm,
they have her get back involved. They have her get romantically involved with Sonny.
yeah,
It's problematic. It for Trina,
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some
but
awkwardness that's been to bound to come, and if Chris and Dan were at the helm, it would be ignored,
right,
guaranteed.
Right.
Now the possibilities are endless for how it will be dealt with. Will
Right.
they ignore it or will they play the beats? I hope they play the beats because I feel like Trina is incredible.
Hmm.
Taviana is fantastic, and so is
Yep.
Mara. And I would love to see them play dealing with the fact that, I gave you this chance. I trusted you, and all you do is hurt the people around me. And I'm supposed to
Right.
somehow be
Hmm.
able to just still be okay with you despite what you do. I don't know
Right.
if I can do that.
Hmm.
And either that cause a rift between her and Joss, which I don't want, but I could see it relationally happening,
Hmm.
or it caused a rift between her and Trina,
Right.
her and Ava,
Right.
because it's going to be one or the other.
Right.
I mean, if you're going strictly off of writing for character and not writing for story beats,
Hmm.
then the story basically writes itself
Right.
character wise.
Right.
But yeah, there's so much potential there. I look forward to it. Speaking of Joss, she also had a kind of offshoot story going on.
Adam.
While Sprina was having their Parisian adventure,
Yes.
um, she was supporting Adam after
Hmm.
he had a drug overdose.
An intentional one.
Yes, he
He tried to kill
intentionally
himself.
OD'd because he
Hmm.
could not live any longer as a pre-med student when all he loves is music.
Yep. And he recovered and he finally stood up to his father with the help of his
Yep.
friend and is
Mm-hmm.
now attending PCU on his own as his own man, off screen for now,
Or later, we'll find out.
but still lurking. It's still the potential that he'll just pop up
Yes.
at any time.
At any time, he could return, but as of
Yeah.
now, for the month of February, and we
Adam
could
has
go
been,
into March, but as
yes,
of the February, he
yes,
is once again one of the random PCU students that we never see.
yes, yes.
What I will say is the character of Adam, that storyline was supposed to make me care about him. I will say the actor did a pretty decent
Yeah.
job with it.
Joshua Bernard is a pretty good actor, I think, a pretty good.
He definitely has room to grow, but I
Hmm.
feel like he's on the right road.
Hmm.
However, I still don't care about Adam. I don't care about his daddy. I don't care about his guitar. I don't care about what he shot up to OD. I don't care.
It was
Um,
pills. It was vodka and like
okay, I don't care what he
the
drank and
pseudoephedrine. Yeah.
sucked down. I don't
Yeah.
care. You see how far into the not care I am? Like it's pretty deep. I
Yes.
I don't. Um if they bring him back, they're gonna have to do better than that to integrate him into the canvas
Mhm.
and make people care, because
Yep.
this whole woe is me, I'm a musician shit did not work. And I don't know if this is a function of the writing. Sometimes when you have a newbie actor, you have to have strong writing to balance their weaknesses. And maybe that's where the problem comes in here, because
Hmm.
he is so new.
Hmm.
And while he is good, he's not strong enough to necessarily carry that level of material unless the
Hmm.
writing really supports it. And it
Right.
didn't.
No,
So,
not even a little bit.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of something that needs, that has been needing some carrying for a while, I will also bring up the Shaylin marriage or engagement.
Hmm.
I feel like they have not been good in a long time. I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. They have not been good in a long time. Do I feel like there's a way to fix it? Yes. And it's going to be leaning into internal angst and logic, because they have not so far bothered with any of that.
Well, again, it's Chris and Dan missing the beats.
Yeah, like the things
And
that should be dealt with early on and that should have been the angst that created and built their relationship they didn't do.
No. I loved I love the stuff with her and Tracy and Lois and Maxie. I'm
Mhm.
glad she's not wearing that dress. I am thrilled. I mean, I knew all along. I knew
Yeah.
she was going to end up with Lila's dress, and I thought it had some really great moments.
Mm-hmm.
The wedding planning stuff with Lois and Tracy have been fun. Has been
The
fun.
girls' side of things was perfect. Ironically enough, the Chase men or the they were fantastic.
Loved the Chase brothers.
They
I
were
loved
perfect.
it. I enjoyed them. I really,
That
really
was
did
the
with that
most
whole
charming
thing
Finn has been in ages.
ever, ever. The whole sweaty feet thing, the prenup,
They were
the
absolutely like brothers. His quips and his little add-ins, and that were
the
not helping anything, and just to be a
and
smart ass brother. Like
when
I,
he was printing out the he was in the other room, Finn's in the other room printing out the prenup, and Chase is reading it on his phone and says to his father, termination event. That means divorce, right? And then his oh so helpful big brother from the other room yells, or
or
annulment.
annulment.
I'm gonna make you feel better, boy. I loved it. I
And
loved
then
it, loved it,
even before
loved it.
that one, there was the I came up here because I needed to talk to you as long as it's not to ask me to be your best man.
And
Oh
awkward.
God.
And then they had the really nice scene
At
with
the end,
Finn.
oh, that was so cute when he was
It
like,
was.
I know that that didn't go the way you wanted it to. I was trying to be funny and I think it didn't land right. And, but
Right.
I would love and be honored to be your best man. And I
Yes.
loved that
I
one
absolutely
conversation reset that
turned me
entire
around. Absolutely. And then I thought it was really cute when Liz came over with the invite to Violet's wedding.
that was adorable.
And Finn had his little freak
There's
out.
been
And
this ever since that hospital story, that lawsuit died. There's
mhm,
like a breath of fresh air in their entire relationship. Like they reset the Finn and Gregory relationship at the funeral, which
mhm.
we forgot to mention,
Well,
where
yes, they had that at the funeral.
or
The
they had
talk.
Gregory tell him about his condition and how he's starting to have flare ups. And it
Yep.
really reset their relationship for us. And then
And
we
then
had his, and then we've had this thing with, Finn and Liz. And like, I've always kind of been on the fence with Fizz, more like because I don't care enough about Liz's character to care about who she's
mhm,
with. But I'm the kind of person who, if the ship works, the ship works, even if I'm not a fan. It's like why I was a huge Sam Trick fan. The ship
right,
worked for me. So it didn't matter to me if I loved Patrick but didn't care about Sam. I loved the
right,
ship.
right.
So like Finn
And
has been like, take it or leave it, but I feel like it was invigorated and it was so charming watching them joke, like watching Liz stand back and like smirk at him while he's having a panic attack over this wedding.
about this wedding invitation, and he wasn't invited. It's not us having a wedding. He
It's
wasn't invited.
hilarious.
It was hysterical. And then I liked their conversation. It was so,
Mm-hmm.
mature and grown up, they're happy with how their relationship is and they don't feel the need to rush into more. And I like that. And, they're supportive of each other. And, his father was moved in.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to tell Violet,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that stuff really hit a lot of right beats for me. And this is what,
It
the
did.
family building and the family bonds and the family conversations that we were talking about. That stuff had Cortez fingerprints all over it.
Absolutely. I feel like that the resetting of the Chase family and the Fizz
Hmm.
relationship happened in the month of February.
Hmm.
And if you weren't feeling them before, watch those scenes and I feel like it'll get you on board with them more. It might open your mind to the possibility of them working.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
because I know that there's a lot of people who are completely anti-Fizz.
Right.
And I kind of understood it before this month. Like there were for a few cute moments here and there with them, but for the most part, it
Hmm.
was drudgery. I'm gonna For me personally. I know that you kind of had a soft spot for them, but for
I
me
did. I thought
personally,
they were cute. Yeah.
yeah, for me personally, it was drudgery. I don't really have anything for either of the characters, and I didn't feel it for the couple. But this month really
Mhm.
was a breath of fresh air for them. Like,
Yeah,
it was the making of their family for me. Like,
yeah.
on the canvas, they've been here for over a year, maybe two,
Mhm.
three. I think they were even
Yeah,
around back when Jason was back the last time. They've been around for a few years.
yeah. They had
And
started. That's yeah. Because they started shortly after Franco died,
yes.
which
So,
was
like,
2021. Yeah.
yeah. So they've been around for about two, going on 3 years now. And
Mhm.
for the first time, I feel like I'm really seeing their family.
Yeah.
And I'm actually engaged and I care, which
Yep.
never happened. And there's a lot of people who can't stand Gregory, can't stand this person, can't stand that person. But like, it feels like they're invigorating the relationship.
I
However,
agree.
on the other flip side of that, Shaylin still needs work.
I think Shaylin made progress this week, but we'll talk about, or we'll talk about that in our beginning, our
Well,
weekly
I'm referring specifically to
for
February.
February. Absolutely.
For
The stuff with
February,
the
they
prenup,
still need work.
I don't. It was stupid that he didn't immediately realize that this was Tracy.
That part, like, you had this conversation that
Said
Tracy brought up.
Tracy brought
Brooklyn
it up,
told
and
you
Brooklyn shot
no.
it down. But now I think that she went behind my back. That was just, it was stupid. I'm glad
Right
that
then
it
and
didn't
there.
linger.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they got through it quickly.
I also
Um,
think the way he brought it up was shit to her. Like,
yeah,
after it was brought up that it was probably Tracy, for you to still go after her like that, like you're pissed at
right,
her for no apparent, like, and then tell her, well, I wasn't really mad. Yes, I said
right,
when you walked in here, like, what do you weren't mad? And
right.
if you weren't mad and
Exactly.
you were just toying with me to see if what I would do, then fuck you very much.
Right,
Like, there were so many aspects of this where I was like, fuck you very much, Chase. Like, the first one was that you didn't immediately realize it was Tracy.
right,
And then the second one was that you kept harping on how dare she, how dare she, how dare she. The more he was saying that, the more I wanted him to sign. Because
right,
why are you so against this prenup? You got
right,
nothing. So it's not like there's anything she can take from you.
right. Exactly.
But why are you so like, and then every time his family was trying to give him reasonable explanations and help get his head out of his ass, he would dig his head farther up his ass. And I'm like, you are just like red flag after red flag after red flag right now.
Right.
And then they seem to
Exactly.
calm him down, and he comes bursting into the freaking wedding dress shop. And I'm like,
It was actually the
first of
Quartermain
all,
solarium because they brought the dresses to Brooklyn. But yes,
oh, I'm sorry, the wedding dress appointment. And I'm like,
right,
first and foremost, men are stupid because Chase actually almost became a green flag for a second when he was like, "Oh, she's having a wedding dress shopping. She's wedding dress shopping. I shouldn't bother her." But his dumbass family talked him into it. And I'm like, these idiots. Why are men? Why are
why?
men?
Why?
Just why?
Right,
Like, what were you thinking? Why would you burst in on that moment? You can like text her and say, "We need to have dinner and talk."
right,
Simple. But he burst in. He literally burst in like he was like in the middle of a raid, about to
right,
like take somebody down for something done wrong. And then it comes out why, and it's like,
right,
this was Tracy. And you are mad at me? How do you not, like, we're about to get married and you don't know me well enough to know this wasn't me?
right,
And you didn't give me the benefit of the doubt, even under the circumstance that you might have thought it was me. All of these things make me
right.
A, want to prenup harder, two, not want to marry him. And then she's sitting here having to beg him to be understanding of her. And I'm like, everything about this relationship right now is red flag after red flag after red flag. I just want to beat Chase with every red flag in my hand right now. I just one after another, just whip him with them. I just, oh. But in the
I
month of
know.
February, I came to hate Shaylin.
Well, hopefully they bring you back in March
March has been,
because they're just so
well,
cute.
March has been March, and I'll discuss that in March. But in the month of
Yes.
February, we had Valentine's Day, in which he was a big dunce. and didn't make sure that there was fuel in the heaters, so they ended up freezing outside.
I kind of
And I
don't
mean,
blame him for that because it was the Quartermain property that they
so
were
yeah,
on.
the property manager should have probably been keeping up with
Right,
that stuff. But
exactly.
if he didn't tell them that he was going to use it, then they didn't know they needed to check.
Right. But you would think that the groundskeeper would just during the cold months. But I digress. I still thought their scenes were really cute, snuggling together and
That wasn't the worst. I mean, there were moments during that time where I was side eyeing the relation. Like I said, it's hit or it was a little bit okay ish, but then he came in with that situation, and I just wanted to beat him with all the red flags that I was seeing.
I
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I
He's just a
know.
walking red flag, and hopefully they can paint some of them green.
Yes. Valentine's Day also brought Willow reuniting, Michael and Willow,
Yes, I was very
along
happy
with
for
a steamy love scene for their fans.
that.
Um, I don't have a problem with Willow. They're just there for me.
They're a little mild, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
You know my incredible disappointment in the character of Michael. That's a
Yeah,
whole other topic.
I miss
But
Mr. Man. Mr. Man was a problematic little rugrat, and he was a lot of fun.
mhm,
And Michael has become he's become Jason Quartermain in the mildest way possible. Like, even Jason Quartermain had a little bit more grit to him than this, and it's a
but
sad
he
state of
has
affairs.
his moments with it. So, I mean,
Yes,
it's not,
I enjoy when the AJ in him comes out.
yes. He's almost,
It's almost
he
like
has,
he tries so hard not to lean into the AJ Carly
yeah,
energy in him that he leans too far into what he thinks the Jason energy is, and it becomes very
the
wrong.
bad
It's not even
Jason to begin
Jason. Yeah.
with. Right.
It becomes not
It's,
the Jason that raised him, which
or
is the weirdest thing about it.
he leans too far away from the AJ and Carly in him, which leaves nothing.
Yeah.
It's just
Or
there.
he just like it's not like when he was younger and he would be trying too hard and start playing the Sunny role
Right.
because
Exactly.
that's what try hard looked like. It's
Right.
just like
Right.
he's so controlled. Like, let him off
Right.
his leash a little bit. I need someone or something to let him off his leash. I
Right.
I want Sasha to be the one to do it. I mean, I think Sasha's got something cute going on with Cody.
Right.
I do, but I if Sasha could light a fire in Michael, I would prefer it.
Or maybe Sophia Matson's sister, who looks a lot like her, can come on as Sasha's sister
I
with
something has
a bad girl kind of thing. We'll see.
something has to happen to shake that man up, and like, oh, right now, I would also like something to shake Sasha up, because I get that she's been through torture porn for the last several years,
Mm-hmm.
but I also miss Va 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 Voom Sasha.
True, but I think we're gonna make strides with that as well. I loved her and Cody on their, Spixie mission.
Here's the deal. I loved my Spixie. I loved seeing them come back together. Sasha and Cody are giving me a little high school. Hopefully, in the month of March, there'll be some corners turned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to speak on whether or not that's happened or not, because we're talking about February. But
Yes.
as of February, they're giving me high school and they're grown ass adults, and I can't do it.
Okay, but here's the thing. They're not, for me, they're not because they had the conversation that she's not ready. So they
Mm-hmm.
have put themselves in the friend zone. That doesn't mean there's not an attraction. They don't deny that there is, but she's not ready to take it more, which to me was a mature approach to it.
I get that part of it. That
That's
part's not the part
my
that
thing.
bothers me. I think that the way that they're playing it, though, makes it seem like it's a game. Like, the way that the writers have written it makes it seem like they're playing games, like high school games, and it's not, and using Spixie as a proxy. when it's like, well, if you really just want a relationship that fucking bad, then just do it.
Yeah, see, I didn't get that because they hang out other than that. I think the stuff that
Not
they
in the
were
month of
doing,
February.
yeah, well, they weren't on a ton in the month of February. They were pretty much just on with Spixie.
Exactly.
But I think that what they were doing was meeting Spixie at their level, especially Spinelli, the things they were choosing, you
Well, no,
know.
no, I don't have an issue with the events they were choosing. That's not a
Hmm.
problem. All of that stuff is fun for any age, really. So, like, that was, but like, with the matchmaking that they were doing and the way that they were making eyes at each other and being kind of weird, it felt high schoolish, and like they were making a game out of their feelings for each other by but making Spixie the proxy for it. It gave a weird energy. Like, I don't think that was their intention. And you've said that in other times prior to February they had one-on-one lunches and things like that, but we didn't see any of that in February, so it only seemed like what I'm saying here. So it felt weird. But, Felicia
Yeah.
stepping in to get Spinelli to help Maxie in order to give me my Spixie, I support 110%.
Yes. Their karaoke was cute. And then he kissed her and then she quickly left. So we'll have to see what happens with that. You know, they were
I
trying to have the conversation and then Sunny shows up, but we'll get there in a little bit.
True, true. But oh my god.
I know.
Sorry, sorry, sorry,
We also
sorry.
had the start of Cyrus's radio show,
Oh god.
which I think is hysterical, but it
I
is
know
what it
you
is. We'll
do.
see what happens with it. The
I
best
mean, we
part
only
was the
got to
old
really,
fashioned radio in the morgue that they found to
yeah.
do with it.
You know
That
what's
was great.
crazy? Isn't that the same radio was there when Carly found Norman dead and
Probably.
found Jason looking at the body? That's so wild to me. Like,
And we had Martin setting up for Laura and Kevin to adopt
mm-hmm.
Ace, which
Yes.
I think could be an interesting story because later on, because Nick signed his rights away thinking that he's going to be in prison forever.
Mm-hmm. But if
But
he gets
he gets
out,
out early, he's going to be like, give me my baby. And Laura's going to be like, but he's our baby now. And Kevin's never had children. And now he's a father. And I can't. So that's setting up an interesting showdown, I think.
agreed.
Um,
Speaking of Martin, he and Lucy
mhm.
broke up because of the
Well,
bullshit sugar honey that was happening regarding Scott and Tracy.
right.
Basically, Lucy was trying to get Scott to manipulate Tracy in order to get deception back.
And Tracy
And
played
Tracy,
Scott and Martin and Lucy like fiddles.
because they were being amateurish about the whole situation. And so,
Yeah.
duh. And
Mm,
then because of Gregory and her relationship with Gregory, she softened, which I don't know the last time I saw a softened freaking Tracy. And she told Martin the truth. And he went to try and make it right, only to find out he was a little too late because Scott had banged his girl or ex
Scott and
girl.
Lucy had taken a roll in the hay, quite literally.
Ick, 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 ick.
Yeah.
Lucy, you can do better. And you did until you screwed it up with Scott. But Lucy
Did
being a
anyone?
train wreck is kind of par for the course.
It's her character. Did anybody else feel really bad for Tracy when she got up the guts to go invite Gregory to be her date for the wedding? She
Oh
fought for
my
her +1, only to walk
god.
in just moments too late because Gregory had asked Alexis.
That upset me. I
It
was like,
did.
fucking Alexis, what is
And
your purpose in life? Go away.
it wasn't Alexis's fault.
I
Okay.
know, I know, but in my heart, I was blaming her. Normally, I would
Yeah.
blame the man. But in this
Yeah.
one instance, I found myself blaming Alexis because I couldn't blame Gregory because Gregory and Tracy are so cute.
Right.
And then the little bit.
I
Okay,
know.
sorry.
And
But
then
Gregory and Alexis got a whole other set of issues thanks to Valentine.
Let's
Because
get
for
there in a
whatever,
little bit.
okay.
Because we have to, go through what led up to that first. So,
Good point.
how about Molly, TJ, Craze, and Mommy?
Ah, yes. Okay, first and foremost, Craze fan checking in. I thought their love scene for Valentine's Day was so good. So good.
I love Craze too. I am not a fan of the character of Christina.
Yeah, she's hit or miss at best.
Um, but I like this pairing. I like it a
I
lot.
do.
Um,
Right.
they're setting up a showdown over
Oh,
that
they
baby.
are. Mm-hmm.
And they're sorassing this pregnancy, which
Have
is
they
really funny.
ever?
I mean, Alexis was pregnant with Christina for like what, 2 years?
Yeah. I guess
Alexis,
that she did all that extra gestating so Christina wouldn't have to.
apparently pay it forward kind of thing. Um, so they're setting because I think the showdown is the story more than the actual pregnancy itself.
I agree.
And yeah, I think that Craze are going to be fighting Polly for that baby.
I agree because my thing is the way that Blaze was talking about that baby and Christina's feelings for the baby. And then when they made love and they were just holding each other after, did you notice Craze's hand caressing her belly? Something in that is telling me that Blaze is kind of moving into ready-made family in her head,
Yeah,
even if she hasn't fully recognized that's what she's doing. I
yeah,
feel like she is, and she's almost guiding Christina down that same path. And Christina,
I
being
agree.
drama queen she is so
Oh yeah.
emotionally stable at times
Mm,
that I totally see her not like she's a terrible candidate to be a surrogate. I'm so sorry.
oh yeah.
She's too emotional, and you need someone who can have that level head and have some
And
control of their emotions enough to be like emotionally intelligent enough to be like, this is not
right,
my child, I am
right.
giving a
And
gift, and make that separation.
and the thing is that, they did their surrogacy privately, which a lot of people
Mm-hmm,
do. I was a surrogate and I had a private arrangement and we
mm-hmm,
set our own terms. But like with any um actual like agency or whatever, they would never accept somebody who hadn't had their own child.
right.
They wouldn't do it because you can't possibly know how you're going to, how a pregnancy feels and the emotions and the hormones. You have to have experienced that to be able to make the actual informed decision that you could carry a child that you could then part with. Um,
Yes.
and Alexis, there's a whole lot of I told you so's lining up to come out of her mouth.
And she's owed. She's
She is
very,
out.
very owed. Like, there are a lot of times where I'm like, I can't stand that note all that bitch Alexis, but
She saw
this
that shit
time,
coming a mile away. She knows her children.
she
She
knows her
knows what it's like
children.
to have a child. She knows what it's like
Yes,
to have a child and then have it taken.
yes.
And she knows her
She,
children.
she, look, she sees this more clearly than anyone else involved. And I can already see the battle lines beginning to form. If we happen to see somebody else's daddy start to make his way back in town, in the near
Mm,
future, I would not be that surprised. Even if it's just for a short term stint, I would not
I
be
didn't
that
even
surprised
think about
because
that. I didn't even think about Sean. I mean, him and Alexis's relationship.
no, I wasn't talking about Sean.
Oh,
I said somebody's daddy makes an appearance in the
isn't
near future.
Sean TJ's daddy?
Wrong daddy.
Oh, okay. You were talking about a different daddy?
Who's Molly's daddy?
Oh, Red. I didn't even think about that. He just take the baby himself. He's just that crazy.
Well, no, he's settled down, it seems, in the last few years. So he's not quite
Mm,
on full fledged crazy like he used to. And he's
yeah.
always been good to Molly. As many
Yes.
messy moments as he's had, he's always managed to put her first.
Right.
So I can see him coming in to be her lawyer and support while
And
Alexis
that
is stuck between sisters.
and not only that, that pits him against Sonny again.
Yeah.
But I also think Sean would be a great addition to this mix.
Yeah. I think he'd be a fantastic addition. And he'd
Hmm.
have extra drama with, you know, Alexis right now, especially considering, well, we'll get to that, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a bone to pick with that boy.
Yeah. Speaking of bones to pick, we have had a big bone to pick with the crew Crimson situation.
Well,
Drew found out what happened. Crew found out what happened. They have like been pissed at Nina. Drew
mhm,
has been highly emotional of late. He's been very reactive. He's been
mhm.
pretty reactive since he got back from the last kidnapping, let alone post prison. He's
Well,
been increasingly reactive and
yes.
like high
And
intense with his emotions. And it's
Carly and
caused
Sam
it,
had a talk about it.
they did. It was a good talk too.
Yeah, it
Um,
was. They talked about Kelly's and about, because they're doing a PTSD story with Drew.
yeah,
And not
clear.
just about being in prison. They're rolling, they've had him talk about how it's all built from, the things he's feeling started building
Mm-hmm.
with
When he
Victor
returned,
happening. Yeah, it was,
yeah.
it's just all kind of coalescing for him and all
Mm-hmm.
simmering in just this crazy kind of soup. And they're doing
And then
PTSD.
here comes Nina to whip it up to a fever pitch.
Right.
And
And
Carly wants no parts.
right,
Carly, she thought that taking over Crimson was his revenge, like
right,
having her be the one specifically to take over after he fired
right.
her. Nina was supposed to be the revenge.
And
That was supposed to
that
be it.
firing was 100,000% justified. It was. She didn't turn them in to be a legit whistleblower,
Mm-hmm.
and her actions hurt the company.
Hurt the company. She hurt the man who helped save her daughter's life.
Exactly. He
She
was
hurt her
100%
daughter.
right.
She hurt her man. She hurt her man's family.
Yep.
Like she basically took an
And she did
AK
it
and
all
just
to be
scattered
a
shots
petty bitch
with
to
the
Carly.
hopes that at least one bullet would hit Carly.
Right. And he was right to fire her. And then, he wanted to continue the revenge. And Carly laid it out for him. You can have me at Crimson or you can have your revenge. You can't have both. And he
Mm-hmm.
chose to back down. And then the very next day, they walk into Crimson. There's Nina pulling her bullshit again
Mm-hmm.
and firing it all back up.
Because for some reason, to Nina, the harm that she caused should just be accepted and forgiven and moved on from, even though it's
Right,
from a vengeful place. She
right,
cannot seem to comprehend that when she is vengeful to other people, sometimes they're going to want to be vengeful back to her. She
right,
seems to always see herself as the victim of these situations that she creates.
right,
Um, and most people have listened to her talk so long that they agree with her that she's the victim of her. Well, not most people, but there's a lot of people who are Nina
right,
fans who feel like she is also the victim of every situation, even the ones that she creates.
right.
I'm
They
not one
think
of
that
them.
because, like Nina
Mm-hmm.
thinks that because Carly hurt her, and Carly did hurt her, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't Carly's intention, but that doesn't change the fact that Carly hurt her
Uh-huh.
twice in big
Mm-hmm.
ways. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think Nell was as big, but that I digress.
Yeah.
Carly hurt her. So it is okay to Nina to hurt anybody she has to if
In
there's
order
a
to hurt.
chance of also hurting Carly.
Mm-hmm.
And then but she thinks that everybody else shouldn't care because they weren't the target, they were just collateral damage. I wasn't targeting you, so what I did to hurt you shouldn't matter, which is
Which is
ironic
ironic
considering
considering Carly
he
didn't
wasn't
intend to
her
hurt
target.
her. and she still got
Exactly.
hurt, but she seems to think that that emotion should only apply to her. Her emotional
Right.
intelligence is at like -10.
It's
This
insane.
lady, this
And
lady,
then and then she tries to say, "Oh, it was impulsive and I immediately regretted it." Bullshit. You did
because
it.
if you regretted it, you would have called Martin right after and be like, "Is it too late to pull back?" No,
Not even,
what you did when you
not even
called
getting there
Martin,
yet. Not even getting there yet. She called Martin and had him set it in motion. Then, like a few days later, she called to make sure he had set it in motion and told him that she didn't change her mind.
mm-hmm,
And then, after she found out Carly was arrested at Willow's wedding, then she talks to Martin and he's like, "Yeah, it was your tip. That's what did it. No taking it back now." Then a couple weeks later, he tells Ava that she's going to make sure she's going to do whatever she can to make sure that Carly gets the harshest sentence possible to get her out of their lives. The only thing Nina regretted was fucking getting caught and having repercussions for what she did. She didn't
she's not
regret
worried.
what she
To be
did.
honest, she's not even mad she got caught. She's just mad that there are repercussions for getting caught.
Repercussions. Exactly.
Because she doesn't perceive Carly as ever seeing repercussions for her actions. And she's like, well, Carly hurt me all these times and no one cares. So why do you care when I hurt Carly? But the thing is, you hurt more than Carly.
Right.
And you
And
did it knowing that that was a possibility and you didn't care, even though, like, and the thing about it is, Willow asked her on her deathbed. She made one request of
let
Nina:
it go.
leave Carly alone. Not even let it go. Leave Carly alone. Those were the words she said out of her mouth. And that woman left the hospital and went directly to harass Carly,
Right.
into picking and then picked a fight, or into telling her what she really thought of her. And when Carly did it, she took that as an act of war
And
and
it's just,
took her shot. She
babe.
set her, she keeps doing this. She keeps
And
setting
then
these things in motion where Carly pisses her off enough for her to use whatever ammunition she has.
and then, she promised Willow, she promised Sunny, and that's their problem. It's not that it hurt, it's that she broke. That's where she was wrong. Yes, nothing. Nina did not break the law by turning Carly in.
At all.
That doesn't mean Nina wasn't wrong, because
Mm-hmm.
Nina knew that it would hurt people that she loved. Nina knew she had made promises to those people to not do this very thing,
Mm-hmm.
and did it anyway, and
Mm-hmm.
doubled down on it and tried
Mm-hmm.
to make it as bad as possible for Carly. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she literally sat there the week before she made the phone call and told Nina that she couldn't turn them in because Willow was dying and needed Carly. Literally said those words and then did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's just this whole, I was impulsive, I regretted it immediately. No, you didn't. You didn't regret it immediately. And it wasn't even that impulsive because you called to make sure it was done again. And you
Yes.
didn't try to call it off after you knew it had been done. And it's just insane with this woman. I mean,
And the
and then,
thing about it is, because Carly helped Drew get one piece of revenge, everything she does, she continues to aim at Carly.
right,
Carly joined Crimson to help Drew get his like comeuppance against Nina. And then she was just gonna do her job and leave Nina alone.
right. Until
But
somebody else could
but
take the job.
Drew, yeah, until someone else could take the job. But Drew kept taking, kept countering every move Nina made.
Right,
But every time that Drew would counter it and she would come up with a new way to come after them, she was always focused on Carly. Like if you go back and
right.
watch those scenes, the
Oh, I
thing that
know.
was the creepiest to me, Drew would be leaning forward, focused on her. She'd be leaning around Drew to stare at Carly, and Carly's
Right.
just like, can the floor open up and get me out of here? Because
And
what
like,
the hell?
not only that, Nina was doing this whole thing. Martin wanted Martin to get the writer, get all of everybody out of their contracts or their non-compete so she could steal them all
Mm-hmm.
away. And she was trying to get the advertisers and da 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 da. And then when Drew said to her, when, that person canceled the meeting and wouldn't reschedule it, and Drew was laughing and was like, yeah, I just made it clear that anybody that if they worked with you, they wouldn't be working with Aurora. She had the fucking sack to act offended. Like, how could you do what I've already been trying to do?
I tried to blackball Carly, and how dare you blackball me before I could blackball Carly?
Right?
Are you
It was
insane?
insane. It was absolute insanity. And then, so, she calls Valentin because he needs to be a protector. He was, at the, Metro Court to, and he tells her he's going to have a plan. So then the
Mm-hmm.
next time we see Valentin, he's at the
Mm-hmm.
Metro Court. It's, a little while late, I think the next week, with
Yeah.
Laura to meet with Robert about Charlotte.
Uh-huh.
And, the relationship with Anna really redeemed a lot of crap with Valentin for me. But so help me
Mm-hmm.
God, he gets around Nina and it's just fucking, I start hating him again because he just regresses to her bullshit. But whatever. So, he was all offended. Robert didn't want, wanted Charlotte to get help while still having some repercussions, but not jail time.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte did serious, serious shit.
Yeah,
And she's not a baby.
at all.
It's not like
She
she's
knows
7, 8 years
what she
old,
did was
even though
wrong.
at that age she was putting snakes places.
That part.
The problem is this child has never had consequences for her bullshit.
Ever.
And she needs some. But, he's all offended. Laura's like, simmer the fuck down. And then at the same time, Sonny has ordered Diane to deliver divorce papers to Nina. Diane did not want to deliver these divorce papers. She wanted to let a lackey do it. But Sonny insisted it had to be Diane. And of
Because he
course, Nina
trusts Diane.
and of course Nina is all about killing the messenger
Mm-hmm.
and blames it on Diane. And somehow Diane should feel bad for Nina. And Nina takes a couple pot shots at Diane, which was so stupid. And Diane decided that she had a little bit of time to tell Nina about herself. And that scene was like just
It
delicious.
it was cut straight from soap Twitter.
It
Because
was so
everyone who has been complaining about Nina to this point would feel
yeah.
vindicated watching that scene. Because
And
it's like,
quite honestly, it could have gone on longer, but I understand. And then, but Nina's just refuses to look at her. She can't refute anything Diane's saying. So, she's just going to act like she's so far above it. Then she takes another pot shot at Diane. Like she's not the total bad guy here. And then Diane just kind of brushes her off like the annoying gnat Diane considers her and goes over to Robert and continue, they go for their plans. And then there's Valentin and Nina, and he says, have you ever seen people look at them taking joy in other people's pain? I'm like, really? You two are the ones to bitch about this? Are you kidding me?
right? Like, hello, self-awareness on line one.
Valentin, have you been driving with AJ?
A reference.
You've forgotten a few things. And I know that I'm alone on this island, but I like Disco. I like Robert and Diane. I
You're not
do.
alone. I'm
I
on that
thought
island with you.
I think their flirting is cute. And of course, yeah, I don't want to see, old people sex, but I like their little the
Flirting.
foreplay and flirtingness. And I don't even mind them kissing. Honestly,
Hmm.
their kiss was much better than Scotty and Luce's, which is really disappointing because Scotty and Lucy those two actors have a whole entire history and career of kissing each other, but I digress.
Yeah.
I really enjoy them. I think they're cute. Um, It's going to be interesting because they're about to be on the other side of something big, but we'll get to that another podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out that Valentin's big plan to help Nina get her revenge on Carly and Drew is he bought the invader. Alexis is less than happy.
Because Alexis has common sense at
Right.
times.
And Nina is now the new publisher. Alexis is still editor in chief, but Nina is publisher. And then we
Mm-hmm.
find out that Nina's crack plan, as she's telling, her and Valentin are talking, is to use the paper to expose Carly and Drew. I'm not sure what there is to expose. The insider trading thing is public knowledge. Drew doesn't really have any other skeletons in his closet. And neither does Carly. Her skeletons have been strewn about, her skeletons have a freaking monument in the park at this point.
Mm-hmm.
There's signs here and there. This is where Carly did this horrendous thing. It's
This
like
is
a
the corner where Carly left AJ when after, she drugged
exactly,
him and
exactly. There's
dumped him
plaques.
on a laundry cart.
It's almost like the Freedom Trail in Boston that goes through Massachusetts for, how the revolution progressed. They have
Mm-hmm.
this in, plaques around Port Charles to proclaim all of Carly's wrongdoings to the world, and fine, whatever. But she's going to expose them. And her big plan is to hire a gossip columnist. I'm like, is the gossip columnist just going to focus on Carly and Drew? Okay, that's going to be kind of boring, but all right.
Because you're going
Um,
to get an issue and a half out of it before it's like
right.
everybody puts down the paper because they've already seen all of this and they know all of this. And like, what are you telling me new?
So then we'll get to her confronting them. Let's have a quick stop with Sam and Dante. Another
Mm-hmm.
couple I think are really cute and perfectly matched.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having some problems with Danny.
They
He
are.
snuck out the fire escape, which really cracks me up that, because that was Jason's penthouse and there's no way there would be a fire escape on Jason's penthouse. But okay, there's a fire
At least
escape. And
not one that's not properly secured.
well, I don't think there'd be one anyway because the bad guys could get up it.
Uh,
It's a security thing. But
but as a security thing, they'd also need a way down in case like the bad guys took out the elevator. So I don't think that it's necessarily out of the realm of possibility to have
well, we already
one. I just
know.
feel like that it'd be
Hold on.
much more
We
secure.
know the penthouse. We know that there are stairs.
You're an asshole for that.
I'm just saying, we know there are stairs. But anyway, Danny snuck down the fire escape.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam and Dante were, he, gave her advice and let her vent, but stepped back and let her do her mom thing because Danny is not his. And he was just
Mm-hmm.
a really great support for her. And the two of them are just closer than ever. And then Sam and Liz had a really nice conversation. I think it's bizarre that she thinks that Sam thinks that Danny inherited Jason's brain damage traits, but that is what it is as well, especially knowing her own history.
If
But
like,
again,
like I'm you realize that everything you knew about Jason was because of brain damage. So like any traits that you are like, and he also talked to you about the fact that he completely changed following brain damage. So
surgeries did he have while they were together?
like yeah, you know that he
Yeah,
is almost he's
she was.
basically a bunch of like thread and brain matter at
She
this point.
knows. She knows that he had to have the piece of dashboard removed,
Right? And I'm just
which will
like,
never not be funny. I'm sorry, it will never not be funny.
I don't know why you find that hilarious. I'm gonna be honest. I
I
don't get it.
think
Okay.
after all those years, a piece of dashboard,
What? What's the
it was
big
a
deal?
piece, it was a piece of dashboard that was still in his head like 15 years after.
That's not that to be honest, as a my mom's a nurse.
I
And
know.
so I
It's still hysterical.
let me finish. Look, my mom's a nurse, and I've had to read a lot of medical books helping her study when she was going through going through nursing school. And the thing about it is possible for something like that to happen if it went up the nose into a spot where the old school X-ray machines could not have seen it. It could have gotten lodged and stuck there, and either that or they couldn't operate on that spot, and then the brain could have grown around it, and then if something else happens it could be dislodged. Theoretically something like that could absolutely
I
happen.
I understand that it can. It's still
Mm-hmm.
funny. And I'm sorry. I really wish AJ had been around to react. My bad, bro.
I
And
don't
I
know
could
why you
see
find that
AJ going,
funny.
I could see AJ going, any chance I could get it just to keep it as a
Oh my god, you're such a dick.
come on, that's a brother thing. I'm just saying. They
That's a
missed
little
the
out of
boat on
pocket.
this. Right? But
That's a little
anyway,
out of
I
pocket.
digress.
You're such a mess. You are such a mess.
So then, but Sam and Liz had a nice conversation about,
Mm-hmm.
their kids, they each have,
Teenagers.
sons, teenage boys that are the spawn of Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And they
Sam
both
brought,
that biologically they have traits of Jason that aren't like appearance related.
yeah. And then Sam brought Danny to the bridge and they had a nice moment. And he told her that he wasn't comfortable talking to Dante. So she, later set up for him to talk to Drew, which was nice because, uncle, plus he was that position of father to him for a while. And a lot
Mhm.
of this was to set up the return that is part of next podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So going back, Anna and Jordan set up a
Mm-hmm.
sting,
Yes.
even though neither of them,
Sexy spy girls doing the spy thing.
yes. And their sting is interrupted by none
Mm-hmm.
other than a newly back to town and suddenly blonde and quite frankly, I think better looking John Jagger Cates.
Okay, let's not go that far. I got my
I'm
issues with the old
saying
one, but I'm not gonna
I'm
lie.
saying how they look now.
Oh, I haven't seen him in a while, so I don't know what he looks like now.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he uses the same shoe polish on his hair that someone else does.
Oh, no. But then again, he doesn't seem bright enough to know that that's a
Yeah.
bad idea, so whatever.
So Anna and Jordan tried to play cute with Jagger.
Mm-hmm.
He tossed them in the clink. And
I wouldn't
they
have minded if he wanted to play special interrogation games, but he didn't because he's boring like that.
and then that caused Anna to take Laura up on her job offer of temporary police commissioner to get them out. Robert and Dante played peacemaker and got everybody to agree to work together to take down the bad guy. So Jagger informed them about Olivia Jerome being killed. And the string of mob bosses around the country that have been killed and
Mm-hmm.
targeted. And they realize that it's Sonny that's being targeted, but they don't know by who. And it's WSB stolen weapons that are being Dante and Anna and Jordan guilt Jagger into going to warn Sonny,
Mm-hmm.
which of course Sonny acts the ass.
Because what else would he do?
Right. Now they did let Carly have a real reaction to Olivia Jerome's death because, it brought up a lot of stuff. Olivia was responsible ultimately. She was the one who set the bomb. Ava had messed with Morgan's meds, but Olivia set the bomb that killed
Mm-hmm.
Morgan. And
Yes.
she had, some strong emotions, and her and
A
Drew had, nice
thoroughly
moments about
maternal,
it.
a
Yeah.
thoroughly maternal reaction.
Yep. And then, of course, Nina chooses that moment to come in and crow about her new job. And for some reason, Nina thinks, publisher of a local newspaper in upstate New York is bigger than an editor of the international fashion magazine, but okay, we'll let her have it.
Because
And
anything has to be better than dealing with her directly.
right. She leaves. Carly realizes that Drew is not giving up his grudge. She quits Crimson. Says that, this issue was her first and her last. She walks out. In their argument about it, Drew almost threw in her face that he went to prison for her, which was what it was. So
A,
that's
ch-
something that's gonna, pop up later.
a choice.
Yeah.
He's
Then,
giving some choices.
yeah. And Anna and Jordan also were Curtis, who had been able to finally consummate his marriage with Portia,
Yep.
only to turn around and then have to tell her about his relationship with Selena Wu, which she was not happy about, but
Understandable. So,
they'll work through it. Jagger and
unfortunately.
Scotty had some nice moments at Karen's grave
Mm-hmm.
that were really nice.
Team Scott,
Um,
whenever it comes to him hating Sunny, and I'm glad that they remembered that he hates Sunny.
right? If there is somebody who should keep their foot on that man's neck forever, it's Scott and Jagger.
Agreed.
And as far as Jagger goes, Sonny didn't just hurt Karen. Sonny fucked over Jagger plenty too, not having to do with Karen. You know what I mean? Aside from what he did to Karen. And so there's that dynamic. And Jagger is not happy about it, but he's there to save Sonny's life. Sonny's
Unfortunately.
not happy about it and is like, I'm not letting it happen. But whatever. I'll take care of myself. We'll see. So he has
I mean,
Brick on the
there's a
case,
first time for everything.
right? So he has Brick on the case.
Mm-hmm.
And Brick's looking into trying to find out who the lead in the organization is.
And
And
he
he's out
failed.
on he's out on a date with Jordan. And he gets a little spidey sense about Dex, so he looks into it, finds a money transfer, and goes to Sunny, and they all just conclude, based on that Dex must be the mole. Sunny takes him out to the Pine Barrens,
Which I'm surprised he even knows where that is anymore.
right? And then, like any cartoon villain, he monologues for a while.
Mm-hmm. Just long enough
And
for Carly to realize the problem and come save the day.
well, hold on one second. We first have to go through the whole, you know, Dex doesn't want to tell him the truth because he doesn't want to give up Michael and Carly. He doesn't want to hurt them and hurt Sonny by them knowing. So he's willing to take the bullet. And Sonny has Dex's burner phone and wants Dex to unlock it so he can see all the evidence against him on there. And he hands Dex the phone. And Dex operates the kill program he had installed on it so that everything's erased.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, Carly's finding out from Brick that Sonny's about to kill Dex. So she runs out to the Pine Barrens, gets there just in time. Actually, she probably could have waited a little bit because Sonny was still monologuing, but
That's a
gets
good
there
point.
just in time.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing happens, which is Sonny telling the guys to get her out of there. and them grabbing her arms and her saying no and them dropping her arms, showing who the boss really is. All those ties she bought over the years really paid off there. And she tells Dex or Sonny that he's about to kill an innocent man because Dex is not the one who betrayed him. He's been working to protect him. And she tries to protect Michael by saying it was her that paid Dex, but Sonny knows she didn't have the money to do so. And she tries to explain to Sonny that they were just trying to protect him. He, of course, gets his little feelings hurt. He's all in his feels about people thinking he's incompetent when
He's
he's
incompetent.
incompetent.
Uh-huh,
Exactly. And storms off, but doesn't kill Dex. And I liked
uh-huh.
Carly's little mama bear mode, worried about if Dex was okay, because she has taken him in as her own.
Whatever.
Don't worry, I won't go there.
Thank you.
And then Michael goes to see Sonny after finding out that Sonny
Hmm.
knows. And we have the ridiculousness of Sonny calling him Judas.
Like, Jesus, come off the cross, we need.
Right? Exactly. And why would you do this? And then Michael explains it and it's legitimate. And Sonny rolls his eyes. And the fact that they didn't actually do it or go through with it when they could have matters not, because Sonny is doing his favorite thing and accusing somebody of betraying him and playing the victim. Michael leaves. Ava validates Sonny's feelings for him. She's there for him. And isn't it funny that she's the only one he can trust? It's so ironic. Sonny
I
took
mean,
off
if
his
he
wedding
wants to
ring,
go that route, good luck for him.
right? Sonny took off his wedding ring. He's determined that his marriage is over. Very
Hmm.
dramatic moment. And he goes to see Dex to tell him to get out of town. It's his only chance of living. Joss goes looking for Sonny because she wants to make sure he's not going to kill Dex.
Hmm.
Ava tries to talk her down, and then Joss goes to see Dex and finds Sonny at his apartment with the letter that Dex wrote, the goodbye, with his dog tags. She hates Sonny. God, I hope she keeps that energy. I really need her to keep her foot on his neck too.
Hmm.
And her and Trina are at Charlie's, and they talk about Trina's feelings, and Joss commiserates with her and brings up, about how she felt after Oscar died, trying to, tell Trina the pain never goes away, but you learn to manage it better. And Trina changes the subject, wants to talk about Dex, which I thought was realistic. She feels like she lost the love of her life and wants to make sure that that doesn't happen to somebody else if she can help it. You know,
Hmm.
is that
Yeah.
really all you have to say about this?
I mean, there's not really a whole lot that they're giving us,
Right.
as far as the story is concerned. Sometimes there are grief stories that are kind of big, huge stories, but usually
Mhm.
they save it for when someone's dead.
Right.
Um, or also if they have like an extra PSA they want to add. Like in the
Right.
case of Roman and Stone, that one was kind of a PSA story.
Oh,
So there was
absolutely.
why they had to kind of make it this huge umbrella story that everyone was dealing with. And
Absolutely.
in this instance, because we all know that eventually he's coming back, the need to like play her grief is not as strong.
Right.
It's sad because I do think that Tabiana could play it brilliantly and she's a
Oh,
really
absolutely.
great young
Absolutely.
actress.
Hmm.
But, it's just not really what the story is
Right.
at the moment.
Right. And a lot of that is also because originally they had planned a different thing when he was going to be leaving at a different time. And then the
Mhm.
strikes happened. So that all got messed up. And
Yeah,
so this was all really just thrown together very, very quickly without a lot of thought. I mean, honestly, that's probably how a lot of things went over there, but this one even more so.
yeah.
So,
So fortunately, and also the timing is terrible because to be doing it so close to Jason's return,
right.
it's not going to give it the airtime that it deserves, regardless, because this is going to be a big story. Anytime
Absolutely.
at the return of a major character, it's
Right.
going to trump the loss of another character
Right.
because the
Especially
loss,
when it's just a temporary loss.
yeah, especially with a temporary loss. So it's just
Right.
like set this up. It's a perfect storm for this not to really give her the material she deserves.
Mhm. Yeah.
Unfortunately. Um, and so it is what it is. In terms of the visit to the bar, I know that some people were upset about Spinelli not acknowledging her, but if you actually watch the way they set up the scene, Joss and Trina noticed Spinelli.
Right.
Spinelli,
He didn't notice them.
he was in his own world with Cody talking about Maxie as if Maxie and, this whole like setup thing that Cody was doing was the only thing that mattered in the world. He was lost in the sauce. He was in his Spinelli zone. So
Right.
he didn't notice them until Joss specifically walked up to him. Now, if
And
Trina had been with her when she walked up to Spinelli, he would have, of course, greeted her and offered his condolences to both of them.
right.
But also I don't know how much condolences he could offer, considering this man is a grown ass man and he is not a part of the teen scene. He probably does not
Exactly.
know who's dating who
He
amongst
would have
the
offered them the same exact condolences. He wouldn't have,
exactly.
there's no
It's
reason that he would have done anything special or more for Trina.
he
And
knows Trina through Joss. He
not only
doesn't
that,
know anything about what Joss's life is like right now because he's got
no,
kids and a job and a girlfriend ish
right,
possibility in the future
right.
who happens to be an ex non-wife of his.
Hmm.
So like he's got his own whole life going on right now.
Hmm.
He doesn't have a clue what college Joss and her best friend Trina are up to at any given moment. So I
Right,
mean, I think some of the expectations were a little high for what
right.
to expect from Spinelli. Now, as
And
time goes
also,
on, him being reintegrated into the Morgan family,
hmm,
and spending more time with Trina and knowing what's going on with her friends circle, I think that could change. They seem to be
right,
okay, we can't really say that yet. You know, Whenever Spinelli is back at the same time as Jason, he tends to gravitate towards the mob life
right,
in the sense that he ends up being the guy that the go-to guy for Jason,
right.
just the habit. So with that thought in mind, he may become more knowledgeable about Trina and interact with
Hmm.
her more as Joss's best friend. But as it stands, he's never had too much. Like he's
Right,
had maybe one or two interactions with this girl and
right,
knows her as Joss's friend, but he doesn't know her.
right.
And in this one instance specifically, he was in his own world. They were in
Hmm.
their world. They noticed him. Trina left because
Right.
she's not invested in much of anything.
And
She loves,
Joss told her that she didn't want to bring her into it more because Trina had offered more help, but Joss is like, I don't want you in danger from this.
mhm.
And the more you know and the more involved you are, the more danger there is.
And
Joss was trying to look out for Trina.
yeah, Trina wants to be a best friend to Joss, and I
Mhm.
think this would have been a nice distraction for her. But
Right,
Joss is also Trina's best friend, so she's going to look
right,
out for her friend.
right.
So the same way they want to help each other, even though Trina's feeling very numb and lost right now, they're not. And the thing about it is, Trina just lost her boyfriend to tragic circumstances all of a sudden out of the blue. It
Mhm.
is 100% normal that her first reaction to hearing that her best friend's about to lose the man that she loves is to encourage her to stop it from happening.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is not
Right,
a situation where, they're being selfish.
right,
They're both trying to support each other the best way they know how, while having two very different
absolutely.
like experiences right now. Like right now,
Right,
one is grieving the loss of a relationship and the other
right.
is trying to fight not to lose that relationship.
And
One has lost
honest,
her man to what she believes is death. The other one hasn't quite gotten there yet and could possibly work her way out of it.
right. And I mean, would it really have made Trina feel better to help Joss find Dex and see them have a happy romantic reunion?
God, that would have been
In
so
this
awful
moment,
for her to have
it
to
would have
go
been
through.
heartbreaking for her.
I mean, it would have been bittersweet because there would have been a part of her that would have been so happy for her friend
Right.
because that's who she
But
is.
it would have
However,
just
it would have
really hit
also
her
been
again. Yeah,
incredibly painful to watch it happen while
exactly.
she can't have the same.
Exactly. So I think, it played out well for what it was,
And for what
and
it could be.
right. But Trina or Joss asked Spinelli for help. And
Mm-hmm.
of course he's gonna help her. She wants to track down Dex. So next month we'll talk about if that plan worked.
Yep.
Moving on to the Great Pentonville plan of sending Cyrus undercover to talk to the international arms dealer guy they did capture, try to find out who his contact was. At the
Mm-hmm.
same time this is happening, Selena
Yes.
Wu is having a talk with Sunny about finding a mole in her organization.
Mm-hmm.
And she allows Sunny, she allows Sunny to interrogate her guy. And I
Mm-hmm.
looked at it more as she was getting him to do her dirty work. And they find out that the person calling the shots is using the name Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sunny immediately connects it to his stone.
Yeah.
And he thinks that Jagger's behind it because Jagger was Stone's big brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks Spinelli for help.
Yep.
And him and Selena Wu and Spinelli come up with a plan to lure the shooter out
Yes.
using themselves as human bait.
Mm-hmm.
Ava finds out and she decides she's going to help too. And that's where we are. And at Pentonville,
Mm-hmm.
Cyrus, while Cyrus is trying to talk to the guy, co-ed prison strikes again and Heather comes in
Mm-hmm.
and attacks
Mm-hmm.
Cyrus. Meanwhile, Jagger's finding out about this sting operation that Anna is behind and
Agreed.
wants to put a stop to it.
Which
But
makes him look all the more suspicious.
right, but Heather already has.
Mm-hmm.
So they get Heather out of there, they get the guy out of there, but Cyrus still had actually had a chance to talk to them.
But the mics had already gone out by the
The
time he
mics
got
had
the
already gone out.
pertinent information.
Right. And he tells them that the person they're looking for is a ghost, meaning everybody thinks that they're dead.
Dun dun
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun. And that's February on General Hospital. Did
A
we forget
lot of
any?
great stuff happened. I
Lots of
think
things set up.
in yeah, in the end, I think I want to highlight the fact that Selena Wu is a bad bitch who is worthy to be stand.
Yes, she is. And so
That
is her portrayal.
soft voice that she
Oh,
gave when she was threatening, I was just like, oh my gosh, you can put your hand around my throat now. I deserve to be choked by
Right.
you, ma'am. Oh my God. So like dark
And
and sultry and scary at the same time. Lydia Look.
and
Can I just
Lydia,
say,
look,
Lydia
is
Look.
just she deserves standing just as much as Selena Wu does.
Okay, first and foremost, I want to highlight two things regarding Lydia Look. One,
Mhm.
you did an interview with her, phenomenal work, and
And
for a phenomenal
yes.
actress.
Hmm.
And also recently, no, 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 no,
James
uh,
Lott Jr.
James Lott Jr.
Hmm.
He did an interview with Lydia Look, which was also incredible because he's amazing. And so was this interview. She's a delight. And the thing is, she loves us and loves the way we love her as the fans. Like, she's another actor who gets the soap genre and how important it is to respect your fans' intelligence and respect the what they need from you as an actor, like without
Hmm.
getting too lost in it. And I just love that about her.
Hmm.
That, she doesn't like completely lose herself in our adulation, but she does
Yeah.
somewhat use us as a guidepost to make sure that she's staying on track with her direction. And
Oh,
I love that about her. She's so incredible.
she really is. She's an absolute doll, and I'm gonna try to set up another interview with her to check in with her
Yeah.
again because it's been a while, and she's just been just great. She's just amazing, and I love her.
So phenomenal. Yeah, I
I
look
love her so
forward
much.
to like we can have as many interviews of her as possible.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
would love I love hearing her voice. I love
Mhm.
hearing her thought processes. I just love her. I think that's one of the best pickups that GH has done in a long time. I wish we could see more of the Woo organization as a
Mhm.
family.
Yeah.
I stand by the belief that, if Joss can't be with Trina, she should be with a Woo heir. It should be a Romeo and Juliet type situation with all of the stress and drama that goes with it. I know you're a Jex, and I don't hate Jex. We could make it a triangle or a quadrangle if chaos or if Cam returns, but whatever. Like, possibilities.
And I'm saying I want Joss to stay where she is with Jason's long lost son.
Okay, bitch, that was rude and unnecessary. I was not taking a. I wasn't taking that kind of shot at Jex for you to take that kind of shot at me.
I'm
Rude.
just saying
He's not. He is not that man's son. He's not that man's son.
that's a fight for another podcast.
Yeah, I guess
But
it's
let
fine.
us know which way you guys come down on this one.
Do you have the right opinion that he is not that man's son, or do you have the wrong opinion and don't need to actually voice your opinion at all because it's not important?
Ignore her. I think Toni might be getting a little hangry.
Rude. I am not angry. I'm
Okay,
just
you're just being your
correct.
normal stubborn bitch self.
That is also possible.
Okay. So this was the month of February, and it was so fun to talk to you about it, Toni.
It was. I mean, I feel like we hit a lot of really high highs and some low lows. And I think that we behaved ourselves pretty well in the midst of it all
Hmm. Yes,
under the circumstances. But I believe we were also appropriately pretty. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, it's on brand for us.
Well, if you like the petty prattle, there's way more ways that you can check us out. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/petty prattle podcast. These very first laundry day podcasts for the soaps are being given to you for free. But after this, all of our new podcasts that we drop are going to be under the $5 membership, the $5 menu holla. You'll be able to get other exclusive content. Now, what we do is we drop them a day early for you on Patreon. And then after that, we make it available for you anywhere else you get your podcast, whether it's YouTube or Spotify, Apple, the whole nine.
All of them.
Um, Yes, because we want to make sure that you are listening to our voices, because obviously we're the only ones you need to listen to. No, I'm kidding. There's so many great podcasts out there, but
They're
we just hope
amazing.
that we're one of your faves.
Absolutely. Put us on the list. We'll
Yes,
try
put
to
us on
keep
the
you
list.
entertained.
I don't think we have a problem with that. These we're a little weird.
You can also go to pettyprattle.com where you'll find all the latest soap news, spoilers, recaps, op-eds, polls, all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah. So we have some plans coming up for some polling options.
Mm-hmm.
Now we haven't gotten started quite yet, but next week we're going to try to drop some options for you guys to discuss over the weekend. One
Yes.
of those option polls will be couple of the week. We're going to let you pick your favorite couple for each soap. And you can let us know which one's like really giving you the feels.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll give you like between 3 and 5 options depending on the soap. Some of the soaps don't really give us too many options. And then some of them give us too many options.
Many options. Absolutely. And we're
So
going to have
go ahead.
we're going to have another poll, our petty of the week poll, where we're going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about, give you options of which characters were especially deliciously petty. Being petty is kind of a cornerstone of the soap genre.
Yeah, I mean, we some of the funnest moments are when the dialogue gets a little,
Hmm.
messy. And
Absolutely.
so we, figure we'd lean into our brand and
Absolutely.
let you help us choose.
And we have just a lot of interesting op-eds. There's going to be some other interesting interactive opportunities
Mm-hmm.
as we're not just a, news site or entertainment site. We're going to be a community. And we look forward to you joining it with us.
Exactly. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. You can also
Mhm.
find us on Twitter at twitter.com/petty prattle. There's a number of other places which will be in the description box of whatever place that you found this particular podcast. Is there anything else we need to add to the list?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, for all of you listening out there, it has been our beloved Angela
And
and
our beautiful Toni.
we have had so much fun with you, and we'll see you again soon for the weekly podcasts and next month's podcast as well.
Absolutely. Stay tuned. More to come.
Until next laundry day. Bye.
Bye.